We take you to Washington State, where we're getting set for kickoff. Mark Jones and Brock Hewitt on the call. Gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Wendy. Mark Jones along with Brock Hewitt, Shelley Smith down at the field. Ready for kickoff here at CenturyLink Field, which has been the epicenter of football activity over the last several days. Washington State receiving the kick from Oregon, ranked number 2 in the country. And we are underway. Cougars out of the end zone. This is Teandre Caldwell. And Caldwell takes it up near the 24-yard line, where it'll be first down and 10 for Connor Halliday, the starting quarterback, making his 3rd consecutive start. For 494 yards last year as a freshman against Arizona State. That was his real coming out party. And in the last couple of games, nobody in the country, folks, has thrown for more yards, almost 800 in all.
The redshirt sophomore is starting ahead of the senior Jeff Toole, who began this season as the starter, largely because he has that gunslinger attitude that Mike Leach loves so much.
First down and 10. Halliday going up top, taking a shot early. A little bit of contact, no flag on the play. Intended for their deep threat, Marquise Wilson, who's about to clips the record as the school's all-time leading receiver. But it's incomplete. It'll be second down and 10.
Wazoo will get plenty of one-on-one opportunities, even versus 8 in coverage, as Nick Alioti's defensive coordinator for the Oregon Ducks unit played in that first snap, just rushing 3. And Ekpre Olamu, the corner with the big pick 6 a week ago. Nice coverage and a one-on-one opportunity.
Flags down to the field. Washington State coming off a loss at home last week against Colorado in conference play. They're 2-2 overall, 0-1 in conference play. Oregon, meanwhile.
False start, offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Oregon with a shutout last week against Arizona. Oregon 4-0 coming in, 1-0 in conference play. Second and 15. Mark Leach, the head coach, with his signature air raid offense out of the backfield this time. The pass complete at the 15-yard line. It's Caldwell again. And folks, let's take a look at tonight's impact players. Brought to you by Firestone.
Talk about the aggressive nature of Halliday. It's led to 8 touchdowns, also 5 interceptions. His 2 big targets outside. The true freshman Marks will be in the slot. Wilson is her home run hitter. 8 touchdowns at 50+ in his career. And Travis Long on the other side. 6.5 sacks, largely due to his relentless motor. Second in college football with 6.5.
3rd and long coming up for the Cougars. Halliday steps up and delivers, incomplete at the 41-yard. Washington State getting set to come in with the punting unit. And there is one of the most lethal players in college football, DeAnthony Thomas.
And will Washington State punt to him?
He hasn't had many opportunities. Usually a lot of directional kicking, and this one bounces. Chance to return it. And Oregon going to have good starting field position for its opening drive, starting off at midfield. First down and 10, 41-yard punt, 9 on the return. That's where Marcus Mariota takes over, 6'4", 211-pound freshman, redshirt freshman, making his first start on the road, Brock Hewitt. So it's interesting to see how he's going to react in this up-tempo offense that they run. Working out of the shotgun. Pass complete. It's to Josh Huff. After sitting out the last couple of games, makes a nice catch and takes it inside the 40-yard line. Huff picks up 11 for the first down.
Take a look all evening long how quickly the Oregon Ducks get to the line of scrimmage. There's not a team that plays faster. If the umpire's sitting over the ball, Oregon substitutes, gives Washington State an opportunity to substitute as well.
Mariota completes his second pass to Thomas out of the backfield. And close to another first down, run out of bounds just inside the 30. Picked up about 9 on the play.
You asked earlier how the redshirt freshman would handle his first game away from Eugene. He is so calm, cool, and collected. The strength of his personality, nothing affects him. That's why he won this quarterback competition.
So second down and about 1. Another completion by Mariota. This one to Addison, Braylon Addison, one of the talented freshmen they got at receiver.
Got a chance to call the Oregon spring game, and it was a head-to-head battle. Brian Bennett, the redshirt sophomore, had some action a year ago. Mariota, the redshirt freshman, he just simply outplayed him all spring and August as well.
This is Barner. Barner breaks a couple of tackles, got a block, touchdown Ducks. Just like that. Barner, it's his 7th rushing touchdown of the season, the 27th of his career.
Too easy, Mark. If this is going to be competitive tonight, Washington State will have to get off blocks, must tackle and eliminate the big play, and exactly the start that Chip Kelly wanted for his young quarterback.
They're going to go for the 2, and they won't get there. The pass complete, caught by Rob Beard, but short of the end zone. But that's the type of game that they like to play. They will take some chances. 4-play drive, 50 yards, using all of 1:05 on the clock. And the Ducks making a little noise here against Washington State early.
This is Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal.
Welcome back, everyone, to college football finale as part of Tailgate Week. Fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. Mark Jones, Brock Heward, Shelley Smith down to the field. This is Caldwell on the return for the Cougars. Stopped short of the 20-yard line. After their second series offensively, quarterback Connor Holliday went 3 and out on the first one. And Oregon made them pay at the other end. Took a little over a minute to score a touchdown, missing the 2-point conversion.
In all 3 snaps, the Ducks rushed just 3 defenders. They want to get a feel for Mike Leach. First time Chip Kelly, long-tenured defensive coordinator Nick Aliotti, has ever faced this Mike Leach offense. A lot of coverage in that first series to see if they mix it up with some of their traditional blitz packages.
Holliday incomplete out of the backfield. DeAndre Caldwell had his hands on it and dropped it.
The worst thing you can do, Mark, against the #2 team in America is start out without completions. The false start penalty, incomplete shots down the field. You mentioned earlier, Holliday, just 8 starts under his belt. You need to find a way to get in the rhythm. There's the senior tool. You don't want to come out against one of the best teams in America and be over and penalized. You got to find a way to get in the rhythm early.
Mike Leach had some comments in the wake of that loss against Colorado last week about his team's toughness, hoping to rile his team up a little bit. A 3-yard gain by Caldwell, and for more on those comments, let's go down to Shelley.
As Mike Leach says, he is tired of the Basset Hound look on his players' faces. He says they are not mentally tough, they're fragile, and after that meltdown against Colorado last week, he said they were afraid to win. Now, obviously, he's hoping that words are motivating, especially for his quarterback, who he says has signs of swagger. He just needs to pull everybody else up around him.
Well, a good showing against Oregon would buoy his confidence. Facing a little bit of pressure here. Fires a strike complete for the first down. Great catch by Gabe Marks, the freshman, who's caught the eye of Mike Leach, his head coach of late.
Called him his most explosive player offensively, and a nice job of stepping up into the pocket. Holliday's got plenty of arm strength. That's why he fits this system pretty well. And like Shelley said, he's got a little moxie to him, especially for his inexperience level. He'll force things and throw things down the field, willing to pull the trigger.
High snap. Caldwell takes it, finds a nice seam up the middle and close to another first down. They're going to mark it just a little bit short. Avery Patterson making the stop on the 9-yard gain. And this air raid offense getting a little bit of traction here in the last couple of plays. They'll throw it 70% of the time, Brock.
So a little bit of run to mix up that tendency early.
On 1st and 10. Holiday with plenty of time. Pass is going to be ruled. Still waiting, and they're going to say they're still talking. Still no official signal, and now they say incomplete. It's not like officials have had some issues in this stadium in the last few days.
Second down.
And that's
Gino
Simone.
yeah.
I think he gets his hands underneath that.
Wow, that looked like...
And his knee down. They'll take another look at this.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. The previous play is under review.
Yeah, they're going to take a look at this, and officiating and close calls have been a topic of debate, of course, going back to the Monday night game here several nights ago. This has been an epicenter of football. Got some activity down in the field when we come back.
Private Pass. More music, more sports, more family, more dining. Get more access with a City Card.
A look at Bell Harbor Marina here in Seattle, Washington, a very important port city and a gateway to the Far East. Great day for college football.
A good shot of athletic director Bill Moose there, who made the splash higher.
The pass was complete at the 49-yard line. It will be second down at the 49-yard line.
Took them a while to make a call on the field, Brock. Both officials seem to be looking at each other.
I think both of them had their eyes on the underneath receiver there, that the ball sailed over his hands, and a smart play by the senior there, Simone, to come in and dig it out. It may not look like much, but those completions are so critical.
5-yard catch, 2nd and 5. Holiday completes another one. First down at the 43-yard line to Bartoloni. A 8-yard gain.
You'll also watch that Oregon defense like hockey lines, waves of players defensively. They know with their time of possession offensively, got to play a lot of defensive bodies. Watch those defenders all evening long running on and off the field. And what, 1 and a 2-point stance.
See those wide spreads by the offensive line of the Cougars. Holiday completes it underneath to the 41-yard line. Bartoloni again with another catch. A 2-yard gain on the play. Chip Kelly calls this defense one of his best maybe since he's been here, right? Why?
Especially that front seven. That's where they're different than they've been. Even their 2010 team that made it all the way to the BCS title game. Michael Clay, weak side linebacker, 300-pounders in the middle. Deion Jordan, number 96, a defensive end. He's a prototypical NFL pass rusher. That front seven is where they're different than they've ever been under Chip.
Flag down to the play. Holiday with the handoff. That's DeAndre Caldwell, who goes back to the line of scrimmage, and a flag down and no gain on the play.
Like a neutral zone.
Offside defense, number 55. Lining up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty. Replay second down.
From the 36.
Advantageous down and distance field position here. Don't be surprised to see that vertical pass game.
Marquise Wilson is the home run hitter, number 86. He's split wide to the bottom of your screen. 2 yards away from rewriting the record book at Washington State. Holiday comes the other way, finds his receiver at the 30-yard line. The catch made by Isaiah Myers to pick up 6.
One of the keys when you watch this system are the safeties. When they face 2 safeties, Holiday likes to get the ball out of his hand quick, like that, underneath throws. Whenever they bring that extra safety down to either blitz or play some man coverage, that's when you'll see Wilson, Myers, Marks, the receivers with the speed deep down the field. Because trust me, Mike Leach, he likes those chunk throws down the field.
Holiday into a little bit of a rhythm here. Delivers again, some contact. No flag, and now a late flag coming from the back judge. Brian Jackson may have gotten there a little bit early against Isaiah Myers. It appears as if he went right through him.
And I like this. I like the referees getting together, talking through, each of them a different angle of what they saw.
Pass interference, defense, number 12.
That's going to go against Jackson.
You referenced the Monday night game. I think that was the largest frustration of all. They get together, such a monumental call on Monday night. Tell me what you see. What did you see? A few of those striped men in stripes didn't see that call, but as you said, the back judge on the far side clearly saw Jackson run through the receiver. And what a big drive for Washington State. After Oregon made it look so easy offensively, you go 3 and out to open this game. This is big for what Shelley was talking about. Some of the swagger, some of the confidence when your head coach has called you out.
Brock Holiday is connected on his last 5 passes. Stands tall and brought down and sacked back at the 21-yard line. Good pressure and pursuit from Taylor Hart. He's one of the leaders up front for Chip Kelly defensively.
And that's one of the plays as a young quarterback. You always hear that clock in your head. Step up, step up, step up. It was a 4th down a week ago against Colorado, up 17 late in the game. The many Cougar fans were wishing Holiday would have just stepped up and scrambled for 3 or 5 or 7 yards. Probably win that game if they convert that 4th down. That's the last element in the maturation of the young quarterback. Get rid of the ball or make a play when that clock goes off.
10th play of the drive. A little heat coming from Oregon. And a great attempt, but incomplete. Marquise Wilson got on the ladder, on the elevator. But when he landed, he couldn't hang on to it. Defended well by Ekpre Olumu.
That's a nice job by Ekpre Olumu to come in with the hands. You like to give your big receiver the ball up in the air, let him go get it, but you can't quite throw it that high and give a guy like Ekpre Olumu with his closing speed. Did you see what he did with his hands? Yeah. Get in there and rip at that reception point.
This is where Oregon has been good defensively this year on 3rd downs. Just a 21% conversion number, but a nice pass and catch, but still short of the 1st down. Gabe Marks working against Avery Patterson. 4th down coming up. Does he go for it here?
I think you do. I think if you're Mike Leach, number 1, that's in your nature. Number 2, did you see and what Oregon did offensively the first time they had the ball in 1 minute and 5 seconds? I don't think field goals will be good enough right now.
4th and about 4 to go. Perhaps an early tone setter for the game for the Cougars. Blitz coming. Flag thrown. And that looks like we have another pass interference call coming. Isaiah Myers, the intended receiver, working against Terrence Mitchell. Mitchell is their quote-unquote lockdown corner, Brock.
Nick Aliotti trusts these corners. We've seen Ekpre Olumu with a few plays early. Mitchell as well. Started all season as a redshirt freshman a year ago. Took some lumps along the way. But they'll blitz because he likes those guys out on the edge.
He's going to be tested today by Marquise Wilson, amongst others. And Mitchell a little frustrated.
Pass interference, defense, number 27. Ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic 1st down.
Mitchell was a little frustrated the last couple of weeks. Nobody's throwing his way.
Well, they're going to throw his way when they get one-on-ones, and it's going to be a lot of fades and verticals, and there's just way too much hand contact. You're grabbing guys in a situation like that, you're going to get that call.
1st and goal for the Washington State.
Big 4th down conversion there for the Cougs.
The fade, and they simply run out of room. Incomplete, intended for Bartoloni. It'll be 2nd and goal. Good pressure up front by Kiko Alonso. Alonso and Michael Clay, 2 of the leaders of that linebacking corps. It'll be 2nd and goal coming up. I know they don't run it a lot, but do you even think about running it here if you're Washington State?
I think it depends completely on this. How many bodies do you see around the line of scrimmage? A lot of check with me's within this system. If you get the proper box count, then you can run it. If not, you got to trust your playmakers outside.
Caldwell is the lone back beside Holiday. Looking to throw. Incomplete. No flag. Ekpe-Olomu there to defend it against Marquise Wilson. It'll be 3rd and goal.
But if you were going to run it, that may have been the down to do it. A lot easier to run it on 2nd down than it is 3rd down. You already went for it once. I'm sure in Mike Leach's mind,
2 shots.
You see him scribbling notes there. Yeah, I think you have to. I really do. You look at your defense that has struggled all season long. You have got to score touchdowns as well as play 60 minutes if you're going to beat these Ducks.
Winston and Caldwell, the backs. Winston motioning out. They try to run it this time down to the 1-yard line. That was Caldwell. It'll be 4th and goal. Michael Clay, the defensive player of the week in the Pac-12 conference, making the stop. 4th and goal. They converted last time on 4th down. Let's see what the call is this time from Mike Leach.
And he watched 3 plays from the 2-yard line misfire. And he saw Oregon get after him in the run game.
You surprised?
I am a little bit surprised, yes. Now, the only caveat here is you still want to feel good about yourself. You've called out your team for being young, for being fragile, for not being finishers. 7.5 minutes into this game, a good drive. Feel good about yourself and get some points.
Andrew Fernie with the field goal attempt, and he knocks it through. And it's down to a 3-point lead for Oregon. So Halliday finds a little bit of rhythm in this 2nd drive. And a key 4th down conversion puts 3 on the board. College football finale. Oregon leading Washington State 6-3. 7:10 to go in the 1st quarter. I'm Mark Jones alongside Brock Hewitt. Shelley Smith down at the field from CenturyLink Field. Side of a couple of exciting games. A couple of nights ago, how surprised are you by the fact that Stanford got tripped up?
Really surprised because of the line of scrimmage. That was a mismatch the last 3 years. But Steve Sarkisian brought in Justin Wilcox, defensive coordinator, did a masterful job of scheming. He really outplayed Stanford and finished. Something that will be critical tonight in the storyline to watch. See if the Cougars have any opportunity to finish against the 2nd-best team in America.
And DeAnthony Thomas has his first kickoff return of the year. All the way out to the 24-yard line. Yes, folks, that's the first time he's had an opportunity to return one. And look at Oregon's drives. They are short but potent.
And that can be so demoralizing to you defensively. Feel like you just have no chance when they're that lethal. I like that word you used for DeAnthony earlier. That's what this system's been, and it's a lot of new parts, including a redshirt freshman, and Chip's group is not slowing down.
2nd offensive possession of the game. Handoff is to Barner, and he's brought down for a loss on the play back to the 20-yard line. Loss of about 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 13.
And that's the X-Man. That's Xavier Cooper, a redshirt freshman at 6'4", 298. A little different than some of the Cougar D linemen of the past.
Mariota completes it on the edge and a nice run. That's Murphy on the move. And Murphy out near midfield. Finally pushed out of bounds and a 1st down for Oregon.
I will contend there is no better blocking team in America, because look at the receivers. Look at the effort outside. You will see that for 60 minutes. Running backs, receivers, tight ends, everybody committed to blocking.
Little movement up front. And Brock Xavier Cooper, who made a nice play a couple of plays ago, appears to have jumped offside here. But yeah, we saw that in watching some of the film. The blocking by those Duck receivers, an important component.
Offside, defense, number 96. 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
That graphic we showed, about 14 touchdowns, less than 2 minutes, 10 in less than a minute, because of that commitment of everybody to do the littlest of details, including as a receiver, as a running back, as a lineman downfield, the commitment to block and help your buddy out.
And off to Barner. Up down at about the 44-yard line. Kenyon Barner, primarily the backup for LaMichael James the last couple of years. At his size, 5'11", about 190, what kind of durability do you project him having during the course of the year?
He carried it 34 times against Fresno State. His running back coach, Gary Campbell, said that's what we want to see from him this year, what LaMichael did so well from that durability standpoint.
Set up a little receiver screen. Thomas got drilled after a gain of about 1 on the play. Thomas a little bit smaller and lighter than Varner at 5'9", 176, but more a receiver, right?
And more explosive. And oh, by the way, if Washington State went for it on 4th down, Chip Kelly does the same thing. Don't be surprised at all if in his mind on his play sheet, this is already 4-down territory as you cross the 50.
On 3rd and 3. Mariota makes plays with his legs and then some. First down at the 23-yard line. Got a nice block from DeAnthony Thomas. So there again, another example of good blocking downfield.
And this is where he's different than anybody Chip's had at Oregon. He's a 4.48 guy at 6'4", and 215 pounds. And he will not get you 5 or 8 like Darren Thomas did. He will get you 15 or 20, and it won't be long before he springs a big one.
A redshirt freshman from St. Louis High, from the island of Hawaii. Back with more right after this.
The new home for Pac-12 sports. Can you get it? To find out, go to iwantpac12networks.com.
Oregon first down and 10 from the 23-yard line. Up 6-3 here in the first quarter. Marcus Mariota, the redshirt freshman quarterback, won the job in a very spirited battle against Brian Bennett. And completes another pass just inside the 20-yard line. That one to Keenan Lowe, picking up about 5.
He didn't make mistakes all preseason, all spring. His demeanor as an Islander kid is so calm, so laid back, so much poise for being so inexperienced.
Once that high school coach made him run gassers because he didn't yell at his teammates enough.
St. Mark, St. Mark, they call him in Eugene.
2nd and 5. Mariota on the option. Varner got to the edge and close to the first down. They're going to spot it right at the first down marker. Runner lowered his hat and appeared to have gotten the extra yardage. And they move the chains again.
This is one area of the field where Washington State's defense has actually done a pretty nice job. Just 50% in giving up touchdowns within the red zone would be huge to get your hometown fans here. A lot of Duck fans just holding the Ducks to a field goal.
Mariota given plenty of time and now almost sacked. Somehow eluding the rush. Again. Touchdown, Ducks. Wow.
Through the first 4 games, we've seen DeAnthony Thomas and Kenyon Varner. We've seen Mariota throw the ball so efficiently. This has been the one element, and I don't think it's on purpose that Chip has held him back. But no surprise against this really overwhelmed defense. You can contain one, you can contain 2, but the legs of Mariota are going to be so difficult to stop.
And finally, Brock, something a little conventional. They can actually kick an extra point. Oregon leading by 10 now, 13-3 on Mariota's first rushing touchdown of his career. And shows a little bit of leg speed as well. Folks, coverage of Monday Night Football continuing on ESPN. First at 6:30 Eastern. Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Then at 8:30, Jay Cutler and the Bears taking on Tony Romo and the Cowboys. Monday Night Football, Bears Cowboys, 8:30 Eastern time on ESPN.
Speaking of 2 gunslingers, for all the conversation of Connor Halliday, 2 quarterbacks that like to throw it down the field. And did I hear Mark May earlier today compare Tony Romo to Tyler Bray? The inability, unfortunately, for Tyler to finish today with some of those turnovers. Both those quarterbacks have had some of those issues with interceptions and fumbles in the past. Not this kid. We all watched him at the beginning of the college football season with Tessitore, Matt Millen on the call. Have 7 drives and 7 touchdowns to begin his career against Arkansas State, and off to another nice start. Can't do it much better than that. 6 for 6, improvising on 3rd down.
Came in from Hawaii and idolizing Jeremiah Masoli. And the quarterback that played at Oregon from the goal line. This is Caldwell. Fumbled it, and Oregon may have gotten it back. Brian Jackson was there for Oregon. Still no official signal.
Ruling on the field is a fumble. kicking team.
Oregon
First
football.
down.
And a huge break for the Ducks, working with a short field after this.
And that's the true freshman. That's a freshman mistake and a devastating one, and typically one that Oregon feasts on when they get these opportunities.
Handed off to Laierla. Holt Laierla, who lines up in a lot of different places. He's kind of an X factor for this team, isn't he, Brock? Why?
Like Aaron Hernandez, because he's got some rare athletic ability. He was a high school running back, came in here, wanted to play a little defense, has played some tight end, fits beautifully within what Chip loves, and that's hybrid players that he can move around, not have to substitute, and use in so many capacities.
2nd and 8. Warner in motion. Mariota takes a shot in the end zone, and incomplete. Intended for Addison. One of those talented freshmen they use on the outside. Had a 55-yard touchdown reception last week against Arizona. Sets up a 3rd down and 8. That's his first incompletion. What do you like here on 3rd and long?
I like having the mindset that we've got 2 plays to get 8 yards, and I like the athleticism of my quarterback keeping plays alive, give him a dual threat opportunity. Like that.
Mariota gonna run it. Brought down just shy of the 5-yard line by Matthew Brock. Let's see where they spot this. Picked up about 7. Not sure it really matters how close he is. Chip Kelly is prone to go for it. Runs well and good size. All is 6'4", almost 215.
And this they've shown this year. They'll bring Bennett in and Laierla. This is their big package.
Big quarterback in, as you said, Brian Bennett. Working out of the shotgun. Fumbles the snap, and they're not going to get it. The defense holds. Cougars coming alive. Travis Long, who leads the nation in sacks, made the tackle on the play. And the Cougar defense making a little bit of a statement here, Brock.
Mark, one of the challenges on film that I watched is the center right here having a tendency on his snaps. That's Ronas Grasu to do exactly that. He didn't have any issues as a redshirt freshman a year ago. I actually asked Chip Kelly on the field before the game, is this a new little wrinkle? Are you trying to snap to the mesh point? And he said, no. My redshirt sophomore center right now has got a little bit of the yips. He's just got it. Yeah, it's in his head right now, and he's thinking about it a little bit too much. It was so obvious on the tape, and it comes back to bite him on a 4th down.
One of the few times tonight you'll see the Cougars run it. They run it only 30% of the time. Straight ahead, a gain about 1 by Carl Winston. How much do you think that snap, Aaron snap, impacted the play, though? They seem to have had it well read.
Immensely. It really is, Mark. It's all a timing and feel. And your quarterback, and Bennett comes in somewhat cold to this game, trying to just catch that ball. That's a huge bonus there for the Cougs.
2nd and long. Halliday tried to put it in the window, but well defended, knocked away from Isaiah Myers. That was Terrence Mitchell, their lockdown corner. There he is, number 27. Said he was bored in that Arizona game because they didn't throw my way.
He grew up a year ago. Remember what USC and Marquise Lee and Robert Woods did to this Oregon secondary in those one-on-ones. It was a learning opportunity, and he grew from it. He's come back as just a redshirt sophomore. He's going to be in Eugene a long time, playing very physical press man-to-man coverage.
3rd and 10. Halliday sacked back at the 2-yard line. Fortunate to get out of the end zone. And no doubt this time even Mike Leach will have to punt.
You know what's devastating and demoralizing as an offense and as a quarterback? When Oregon comes up, and tell me how many defenders have their hands on the line of scrimmage. That would be 0. And how many rush? 2. You have 2 on 5. And you have that kind of a pocket that collapses around you. That's bad news.
Hart with the sack on the play. The 6'6" junior, now DeAnthony Thomas, standing at Washington State's 43. A line drive shank Goes out of bounds at about the 27-yard line. Actually going to mark it at the 30. But the Ducks going to be working with another short field here. With 1:10 to go here in the first period and a 10-point lead for Oregon.
And that's tough. The Ducks gave you an opportunity. They misfired on a 4th down, didn't execute, which is rare for this offense. You go 3 and out, and you give it right back to them inside the 30. After a bad punt like that, you like taking a shot into the end zone here? I do, but their shots for Oregon are run game. It really is. It looks different, doesn't it?
First down and 10. Arnold comes out of the backfield, and they look his way. He's wide open, folks. Touchdown, Ducks. I mean, they turned him loose. You talk about room service. It's not going to come much easier than that.
So many formations, personnel groups, shifts, motions. They have the defender's eyes looking everywhere. And then you can utilize that athleticism out of the backfield into space. Very difficult to stop.
Extra point off the upright and good. And it's 20-3 on Barner's first touchdown catch of the season, the 6th of his career.
And you're going to see what I'm talking about with the eyes of those defenders. Barner's right in the backfield, and he's just going to run a wheel. And watch the confusion here with Washington State and Chester Sua, the linebacker, as he just gets bumped a little bit. And uh-oh, that's a bad feeling.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a bad feeling when it's 1 yard behind you. We're like Geno Smith and Baylor, looking a lot like that, about 10 yards behind you, as you see your assignment running into the end zone.
Oh, it was Barner that tweeted earlier today, hey, I love the hate we get whenever we come to Washington. I love repping the O on my chest. I'm a Duck for life.
And that's simply too easy. And how about 34 touchdowns now for Kenyon Barner? You mentioned LaMichael, who has carried the torch here in an incredible way of production. And oh, by the way, all that Kenyon Barner's done over his 4 years is rush for 2,200 plus yards and score 34 touchdowns. Do you think they've been pretty good on offense under Chip?
Most productive team in the last 4 years in the FBS. Averaging almost 44 points a game. From the 2-yard line, this is Caldwell. They fumbled it on the last kickoff return, but not this time. Caldwell making a call. Tripped up at the 6-yard line. A touchdown saving tackle by Troy Hill.
Mike Leach has called his team out for the hang-dog hound, basset hound looks and inability to finish. Caldwell had a fumble on his last kickoff return, but as freshmen are prone to do, they can put that mistake behind him. And he weaves his way through. He was just a shoelace away from getting this one in the end zone. Let's remember now, 2 series ago, it was right here inside the 5-yard line. The Cougs had a struggle to try to score it. They threw it.
Yep. And here comes Halliday handing it off. This is Winston who comes into the game and runs it down to the 5-yard line. A gain of 2 after that 92-yard return.
You know what I love down here? I love play pass. I love getting those eyes of those defenders at least committed a half a step into the run. You've run it a few times tonight. How about a little play pass? Try to influence that defense so you can hit a crease in your passing game.
Last time down here, they didn't run it until 3rd down. Little heat coming into the end zone. Knocked up. Loose. And intercepted by Ekpreolomu. A big hit by Mitchell jarred it loose. And Ekpreolomu had his 3rd interception now in the last couple of games.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense. Number 33. Contact above the shoulder.
And it's all going to be for naught.
The distance to the goal and an automatic first down.
Washington State will keep the ball on the personal foul. Wow. Oh, yes. Tyson Coleman, the perpetrator.
No need, whether it's a gray area or not, no need as a redshirt freshman to lay that whack on the quarterback.
First and goal. Winston still on his feet. Touchdown. Got in barely. What a turnaround. This was close. Great effort, though.
That is awfully close.
I didn't see where the ball hit the...
Yep, there you go. You figured that was coming. That is too close.
I didn't see where the ball broke the plane from that angle.
The ruling on the previous play was a touchdown. The previous play is under review.
They're going to take one more look at it, as we will here. This is from the goal line angle, and maybe right there he may have gotten over.
The one thing is that side judge that's running in. This is the view that he's looking at right here. And that's Michael Clay, the weak side linebacker. You love that. Two seniors head to head. It's want to, it's will. Does that ball ever cross any threshold of that goal line?
Boy, Clay stout defensively. Got a little help from Patterson, too, coming in right there.
And that critical word, and it was used a lot at this neck of the woods this week.
What is it about this stadium?
It was that end zone, too.
At least this wasn't simultaneous possession.
And where the call on the field is critical, the call was touchdown. That side judge who had the best view of it unblocked, unlike some of those replays that are a little bit blocked, that side judge runs in and he's looking for any piece of that pigskin.
Well, great effort by Clay, who's this week's Conference Player of the Week.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
I think that's the right call. It
wasn't
stands.
indisputable evidence.
It's not confirmed. It stands as called on the field. It was called a touchdown, and nothing, as you said, indisputable to turn that one over. Just like the Monday night touchdown pass. Kind of.
Oh, boy, we got a little contentious moments potentially boiling here. A personal foul, high snap. They got it down, and the extra point is blocked. Poor execution on special teams by the Cougars cost them. And the lead is 11 instead of 10.
And that's going to draw the ire of the head man. He's seen false start penalties. Just that is simple execution, and that's not even close. You've seen a shanked punt. You've just seen the little things, and that frustrates Mike Leach immensely because he has said, you guys don't get to witness on the practice field what I've seen. We're making strides. It's just not playing itself out on the game day yet. Got to take those steps to just execute.
Mike Leach, the first-year head coach, formerly of Texas Tech, signed a 5-year contract to become their head coach, and the expectations equally as high.
The expectations here, yeah, I think realistically the expectations were 6 wins. Get to a bowl. Do what you did in 10 straight years at Texas Tech, and that's get the Red Raiders to a bowl game. A lot of seniors on this team, a lot of upperclassmen, many of which, by the way, Mike Leach is sitting and not playing, going with many of his young kids because of that will and that want to. Expectations were a bowl. They've had a couple tough losses. They're going to make that road and journey difficult.
Well, the previous regime in charge upon departure said that there's enough talent here at Washington State to win maybe 8 games this year. Maybe a tad on the optimistic side. Thomas going to take a knee, and it'll come back out to the 25-yard line with 9 seconds to go in a very interesting first quarter of play. We've seen a little bit of everything as Marcus Mariota completed a touchdown pass on his last drive. Comes back out to take the field. Varner, meanwhile, with a couple of touchdowns already today, one receiving and one running.
Now keep an eye on these snaps from your center, Brasu. As I said earlier, he's battled this season. It cost him on the 4th down conversion, and it's always left of Mariota.
1st and 10. Mariota downfield. His intended receiver tripped and fell. Josh Huff being covered well by Simmons on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10, 5 seconds to go. Huff, good to see him back in the lineup if you're a Duck fan, because he's one of the deep threats and home run hitters for them. Missed the last previous game. 2 of them, in fact. And that's one of the questions about Oregon in the big picture, looking at a potential national championship, is who is the deep threat? Here's the call.
There is no foul on the play for a chop block. Both blocks were made below the waist. 2nd down.
That's a good point, because the leading receivers outside of DeAnthony Thomas are true freshmen. Huff is your seasoned veteran. He does have that extra gear, and when healthy, he can pose a real threat to a defense.
On 2nd down, Mariota, and he's picked off at the 40-yard line. Buchanan returns it down to the 20, and the Cougars back in business. His 2nd pick of the year. Deone Buchanan, the controversial free safety for the Cougars, back and letting the offense know about it. Oregon with the lead, but Washington State with the ball. Where did this last play go wrong for the Ducks, Brock?
It went right for Washington State in the young sophomore Cohen. Take a look at your defensive end. Does a wonderful job of playing his assignment. And once you've got a defender in your face, you got to eat it. You can never throw it late over the middle. You got to be careful in a game like this on the road. Your first start on the road. You see Farrell Brown, the young tight end, saying to Mariota, man, my fault because I stumbled. No, I can't force that ball here on the road.
Holiday complete over the middle down to the 14-yard line. He hit Isaiah Myers, the sophomore. Gain of about 6. 2nd and 4. Myers comes limping out of the ball game. Myers and Marks have been a couple of key receivers for Washington State on the year, along with Wilson. Out of the backfield, the catch made by Caldwell. And a gang of tacklers there to meet him. It'll be 3rd down, about 5 to go. Jackson there to make the stop. Are we looking at 4-down territory here, or going for it twice?
You sure love 3rd and 4, because that opens up every opportunity. You better be careful throwing it east and west against Oregon. Guess what they practice against every day, all spring, all preseason? A lot of speed, screen passes. Often not your best opportunity against a lightning-fast defense.
Winston in the ball game now for Caldwell at tailback. 4-receiver formation. Holiday wide open over the middle, and a 1st down to the 5 to Bartoloni. 1st and goal. A 9-yard pickup.
That play reflective of what Mike Leach likes in Connor Holiday. He doesn't have it early. He doesn't panic. He will stand in there and throw it. Go back and look at the rushing numbers of Mike Leach's quarterbacks through the years. He doesn't want his quarterbacks to run it. He wants them to find that outlet. Well done on 3rd down.
1st and goal. Winston still in the ball game. Bartoloni in motion. Tried to find him again, but it's short. And that sets up a 2nd down and goal.
Burned through a lot of your playbook now inside the 10-yard line. This is already the 3rd opportunity for the Cougs inside the 10.
You don't think he's got more bags, more tricks?
Well, look how small his play sheet is. John Gruden's is about 8 times that. He's got a small little play sheet. He's got plenty of plays, but they've yet to find a real mix here inside the 10 that being effective.
How much of that is the Oregon Duck defense?
A whole lot of it in the speed they have when the field compresses.
2nd and goal.
Use your big wideouts. You got your 6'4" wideout.
There's Marquise Wilson underneath instead to Winston. And he's stopped short of the end zone at about the 3. So it'll be 3rd down and goal. Good stop by Terrence Mitchell, the cornerback, showing he can tackle as well as cover. You're still looking at 2 downs here, or one in the field goal?
But you get that field goal, and then you put yourself just 8 points down, almost psychologically saying we're right in this thing. And he's already proven once he's willing to kick a field goal. Just the 2nd field goal for Fernie, less than 20 yards in his career, by the way, the last one. I like my matchup with my big receivers.
For Wilson, couldn't hang on to it, and almost intercepted. 4th and goal coming up. And now it's decision time for Leach. It was broken up by Ekpreolomu. Those DBs done a nice job on him, Marquise Wilson, so far.
So one element he's got to bring in his game. You're going to have contact. He's hit just a little bit early. I like that, but that's not a call. When Wilson gets to the NFL level, and many people thought he was a first rounder going into this year, you've got to be able to make that catch through contact, and Leach does. He gets and goes for the 3 to make this, as I said, almost psychologically. Take advantage of a turnover. Get something. Feel good about yourself, even though it's not 7s.
Alex Den Bleicher had a high snap on the last place kick. This one makes it through. And it's down to an 8-point lead for Oregon. So a win for Washington State. They're able to turn that interception by Mariota into 3 points. Back with more after this. Time anywhere on your computer or mobile device via watchespn.com and the great Watch ESPN app. Got that on my iPad and on my phone. Never miss a game, score or highlight. 12:50 to go in the first half. Oregon leading by 8, and the Cougars go for the onside kick. Who's got it? Oregon looks like they recovered it. Tyson Coleman was there. And it's going to be duck football, but Mike Leach, once again, the riverboat gambler, taking a shot. It bounced twice, like it's supposed to now this year under the new rule. It's got to take 2 bounces. No longer can they blast it into the turf and have it come up high.
And that's a good play. Coleman had the roughing the passer earlier. Heads up play here. Watch. He doesn't wait for it. He's not allowing it to get 10 yards. He's attacking it. Well done.
Varner, gaping hole up the middle. Down to the 32-yard line. Picks up about 12 for the first down.
Oregon 10 runs, 11 passes. Won't surprise me at all if Chip gets back to the run game.
Varner breaks a couple more tackles down to the 20-yard line. Just taking you back to the onside kick. You're allowed to kick it into the turf and get the high bounce, but the receiving team now able to call for a fair catch in such a circumstance. Mariota incomplete at the 3-yard line. That one intended for Addison. 2nd and 10 coming up.
And a little unique. Oregon, a team that has been so good at running the ball through the years. 11 rush, 10 pass with a young quarterback. Remember, Mariota, for as fantastic a start as he had, this is his first game outside Eugene.
They run it. And Varner brought down short of the 15, got about 4 on that play. The perception is that Oregon slings it a lot more than they really do, but they actually run more, don't they?
The last 3 years have been best in this conference, and they are committed to it. They're willing to be patient. As Mike Leach said, Oregon executes better than anybody. They don't get out of character. Not a surprise to see them get back to what they do best.
3rd and 6. Mariota. Incomplete. No flag on the play. Well defended by Dontel Simmons against Josh Huff, and it's 4th and 6. And in comes the place kicking unit. Looks like they got tangled up a little bit there, and in comes Rob Beard, who had his first 2 field goals of the year last week in the game against Arizona. This one coming from 34 yards out. And Beard knocks it through. And Oregon leading 23-12 now with 11:40 to go in the second quarter. Back with more from Seattle right after this.
By the Volkswagen Jetta. That's the power of German engineering.
Just practice, training day.
I noticed that Butch out there has the receiver's gloves on. The Nike receiver's gloves. You know, the fish is a little slippery, so Butch showing good hands. Could have used them on that last trip into the red zone.
And attention to detail, by the way. That's what we try to do on this crew. You're not buying that fish. The ones they throw around like that are bruised, trust me, they don't sell those.
Salmon, the fish of choice amongst other great things out of the ocean here in the Seattle area. Cougars had a 92-yard kickoff return last time. This one stopped up at about the 30. That was Carl Winston. First down and 10, and Connor Halliday leading the offense. How important for them to stay patient as much as they trail by now?
That is such a critical word when you're playing Oregon, and Mike Leach really alluding to that this week in our conversations with him. How many opponents unravel when they play Oregon? They get out of character. They try to do too much instead of trusting your own execution.
From the 33. Little receiver screen. Running north-south, that's Marquise Wilson. Actually tried to turn it up finally and got 2 yards on the play.
And that's two screens that netted very, very little against the defense that is built for exactly that kind of offense. Doesn't mean you can't get away from it. If it's part of your arsenal, you have at least got to show it. But the vertical stretch is what this group does best. It's what Connor Halliday really wants to do. And it's the big plays that they'll have to make tonight down the field if they want to keep this thing interesting.
Second and 8. Winston tripped up and brought down at about the 35. Michael Clay, who had 13 stops last week, the top tackler in that game against Arizona.
You asked me earlier where they're different. That group is where they're different. Connor Halliday checked into that run because of the two safety look, had a favorable box count number, and Michael Clay says, that's fine, I'll get off the block and still make plays.
Third and 7. Underneath, incomplete. Broken up nicely by Brian Jackson. It was intended for Gabe Marks, the talented freshman who's made a big imprint on this offense. And it's 4th and long coming up. Washington State will have to punt. And hey, people talk about Oregon in the national picture. How good are they? #2 coming into the ball game. People down in the southeast part of the country where we've done a bunch of games already, Brock, think, could they survive in a SEC environment? What are the defensive linemen and linebackers like?
I asked Chip that this spring when we covered their spring game, and he said for the first time, and he's been up close and personal with those teams in the SEC, Auburn, LSU over the years. He likes his group up front much better than he has any group he's had at Oregon.
Boy, smart play that time by DeAnthony Thomas. Planted his heels on the 10-yard line, and watch that 65-yard punt go into the end zone. It'll come out to the 20 when we come back. Stewart and Dale Jr. as the chase for the cup continues. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover, presented by GoDaddy.com, Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN. The Monster Mile at Dover. Hey, some people thought this Cougar defense would be walking the Green Mile against this Duck offense. Mariota incomplete. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
What I'm a little bit surprised with is the play selection for a kid coming into this venue who has been really efficient this year, that Chip Kelly obviously trusts a lot. And though I like passing on first down, You'd also like to see that run game going because that's what everything is built off. That's where the screens, that's where the play action, that's where their shots come from. Effective run game first.
Varner up the middle in a nice gain of about 7 on the play. Sets up a 3rd down and about 3 for Oregon. Oregon coming into this game 4th in the nation in points per game at about 53 per. Mariota put it on the ground a couple of times last week. Had some issues with securing the football. Quick run to the outside. It's going to be close. Not sure that Thomas got there, but he seems to have gotten a favorable spot. And Anthony Thomas, who turned down his hometown USC Trojans a couple of years ago, committing to Oregon, and they're going to give him the 1st down.
Take a look at the penetration that Washington State is getting up front. It looks a lot like Arizona a week ago. Why Arizona kept it a 13-point game at half. Their guys up front did a nice job at the line of scrimmage.
Anthony Thomas again almost broke the tackle. Pardon me. Almost. Nelta with the stop.
Exactly what Mike Bresky, the defensive coordinator, said. When you play Oregon, you got to play a lot of your base defense, and your boys up front have got to be stout.
Catch by Hawkins on the edge, and the defense there to limit that gain to about 2 yards.
This is where Oregon's been really good, as you see them attack and get back to the football. 50% on the season on 3rd down.
Cougar players sprinting to get off the field defensively. 3rd and 2. And the defense responds. Nelta again. Owani Nelta, the 6'3 junior, stout inside.
And once again, he's easy to identify. He's got all the hair out of the back of his helmet, and he's right here in the center of that line of scrimmage. Now to the junior college transfer that Mike Bresky said has been everything we needed to be. He and Long have not been those seniors that have been downtrodden and passive. They've been aggressive, and he's been really good tonight. And what a big stop for the Cougs.
I want to point out the last 2 times these teams have met, it has been a fairly competitive game. And Brock, prior to kickoff, we're talking about the perfect storm of circumstances that have to arise for them to have a chance.
There is no foul on the play for illegal substitution. The player leaving the field was the 11th player.
How much of that formula is coming to fruition here for Washington State, if any?
Well, we're not to halftime yet, so your ability to finish, it is the strength of this Ducks team, and at times they will look ugly with this run game. At times they will run into numbers. They typically wear you down, so it's been a very good first half. You sure wish you could have capitalized on some of those red zone opportunities and not settled for field goals, or this score would be very different.
Ball's going to be down to the 33-yard line. A 32-yard punt. Nothing on the return. Owani Nelta with that flowing mane. He's making the hair on their other backs rise up right now. Oregon leading 23-12 with 7:42 to go in the first half. Tailgate week fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. Winston in the ball game. 1st down and 10 for Washington State from their own 33.
Still hunting for that big play. Still hunting for that opportunity to get the right coverage to stretch this field vertically.
Holiday pressured and sacked back at the 27-yard line. And they brought a little bit of heat that time. That's the 3rd sack of the ball game for the Duck defense.
That's Kayla Ikipi on the other side saying, hey, my Polynesian brother Nauta, you can do it, I can do it. And just beating the one-on-one block.
Second down and 15. Marquise Wilson had a long touchdown last week in that loss against Colorado. Still trying to make a mark on this game. Might have a chance here. It's caught and complete. Got in behind Ekpe Olumu for the reception.
One of the rare opportunities that Oregon, and it looks like they're bringing this back, that Oregon gave Wilson a true one-on-one single safety, and he makes the play. It sure looks like a completion.
Something must have happened somewhere else, because
he had a little bobble, but that sure is worth another look, as you see the side judge giving the bobble. That's going to be close, and Wilson sure thinks he has it.
The ruling on the previous play was an incomplete pass. The previous play,
I think that side judge saw that ball bobble just a little bit. He catches it clean first. He bobbles it. Does he then regain possession before he hits the ground?
He looked like he had that.
He has it here, and then he bobbles, and then he regains it going down. He never loses it through contact with the ground. This is the view. Yeah, I think he regains it. I think he secures it all the way through.
I'm not even sure that he bobbled it. He just took a hand off it to cushion the fall.
Well, the side judge comes running in, and that's what he saw. That's why he ruled it in the ruling on the field incompletion. And that's what they want. That is what Connor Halliday at 6'4" and 189 pounds is built to do. He is built to sling those go routes and the skinny posts and those deep chunk plays down the field.
He said he was coming into this professional stadium hunting bear today, looking for some big game and to conquer some ducks. That looked like it was a catch. Halliday, one of a couple players actually from the Cougars side to express a little disappointment in not playing a home game, and there's one more look at it.
To me, that's indisputable that he has and possesses that ball all the way through the reception. Yeah, Halliday doesn't back down. I know you read what I read. He didn't particularly like this one in Seattle. He wanted it out at the Palouse. But more than anything, he's got to take advantage of his chances down the field.
After review, the pass was complete at the 43-yard line. First down.
That's the longest run or pass play today for Washington State, 30 yards.
And they need Wilson to get going. He needs to be the difference maker he was for his first 2 years in a season ago when he broke records and had 1,300 receiving yards.
Winston in the backfield beside Halliday. First down and 10. Got rid of it quickly and completes the pass. That's the freshman Marks with a slippery move and another first down for the Cougars. Moving the ball against this Oregon defense.
And you said it, getting the ball out of his hands, seeing the coverage, seeing his outlets, no hesitation.
A 17-yard gain. The blitz coming. Has a man and incomplete, intended for Myers. And he had him working against Terrence Mitchell. And Myers is a little shaken up.
And the game within the game right now. Nick Aliotti, defensive coordinator for Oregon, been here 20 years, brings a pretty exotic blitz. Washington State does enough to give Halliday an opportunity, and I love the touch. I love exactly what you just mentioned there, Mark. You saw the same touch that I did. He's given his receivers an opportunity to go get it. Unfortunately, just about a half step in front.
Brock, at the top of the show, we had talked about, and Shelley Smith related the comments of head coach Mike Leach as we look at Myers being tended to and how he called his team out. He said they were playing very timid. They weren't showing the amount of courage that he would have liked them to. At this point of the game, how would you assess the amount of courage and strength they're playing?
When your big boys bring it up front, as Nauta does and has through this first half, it can set the tone for everybody else. Buchanan has the interception. They have played really hard, probably as physically as they played through their first 4 games. Now the challenge for Leach, and a lot of those comments directed at end of game, fourth quarters, finding a way to finish against Colorado where they couldn't. So let's see how this evolves over the next 36 minutes. Still a lot of game to play.
2nd and 10. Halliday, a little miscommunication with his receiver, Gabe Marks, who continued downfield, and now it'll be 3rd down and 10. Are you thinking 2 to make the first down, or
it's always
field goal range here?
It is always critical in those situations, Mark, on these 3rd and 10s, to at least give yourself an opportunity to think 2 downs. avoid the sack. You're in field goal range. Your kicker Fernie's got plenty of leg.
Mike Leach always thinking a little bit unconventional, of course. They're 2 of 8 on third downs tonight. Holiday given plenty of time, has a man. Touchdown, Bartolone. He got in behind Ekpreolomu. And an impressive scoring drive by the Cougars. First down catch of the season for Bartolone. The extra point good. I'm not sure many people thought it would be only a 4-point game at this point, Brock.
Mike Leach said, hey, Chip Kelly, you can run a wheel route to Kenyon Barner. I can run one as well to my true freshman. You're going to see a curl route, and then typically it's a flat. Instead, Bartolone takes the wheel, and you see the eyes of the Cougar defenders. They lose the freshman for just a moment, and that's a well-thrown ball. That's a quarterback that's well-trained and well-versed to see that corner get flat-footed for that half step. That's it. And once he got flat-footed, the ball went right over his head.
I'll tell you what, in the last couple of games, nobody in the country in FBS competition has thrown for more yards than that guy. Almost 800 total yards coming in, and Jeff Toole's going to have a tough time getting his job back. He started the first 2 games and then sat. There he is.
He's got a little swagger to him, doesn't he?
Sure does.
He's got a little, this moment's not too big. I know it's Oregon on the other side, and I'm in an NFL stadium, and now the Cougar Nation here that's back in this house is making a lot of noise.
We saw them walking through the streets of downtown Seattle today, and now you can hear them.
Confidence not an issue for Holiday.
Thomas going to take it out. And good things usually happen for the Ducks when he does. This time stopped up short of the 20-yard line. And let's go back to Wendy Nix in the studio. Wendy.
Mark, thank you. A look at Texas at Oklahoma State. Under 2 minutes to play in this ball game. David Ash to Mike Davis, a 32-yard connection, and it sets this up. The all-important Joe Bergeron TD, he punches it in. The Longhorns take the late lead, 41-36, and go on to win by that same score.
All right, Wendy, here's Barner. And he got stuck at the 21-yard line by Justin Sagote. The 6-foot junior, the JC transfer. It'll be 2nd down and 8 to go.
And it's the same conversation. Just look at the line of scrimmage. The Cougars right now are controlling the point of attack and allowing their linebackers to make plays.
Mariota hands it off and nowhere to go. Xavier Cooper this time.
And at times not just controlling, but really dominating with the penetration.
Boy, he was a couple yards deep in the backfield as the handoff got there. A 6-yard loss. 3rd and 13. Barner on the screen. And the Cougar defense is alive and well, folks. Believe it or not, we're told that Wazoo is trending in the social media site Twitter.
Yeah, and I'm guessing down in Baton Rouge and Tuscaloosa and in SEC country with number 1 and 3 right around the 2nd-ranked Ducks, they're really keeping a close eye on this one. Xavier Cooper fired up on that sidelines.
Coach Oregon leapfrogged LSU in the polls, which, to the dismay of a lot of Tiger fans in Baton Rouge, wasn't the right thing. This punt out of bounds. And the Cougars are going to get great field position right around midfield. They're going to mark it on Oregon's side of midfield at the 46. 1st down and 10 with a little over 4 minutes to go here in the first half. Oregon has allowed almost as many points tonight as they have combined in the first 4 games. Of course, coming off that shutout, an impressive one last week against Arizona.
And that includes holding the Cougars to a couple field goals as well. Washington State doing a nice job between the 20s. And don't be surprised, you hit Wilson for the big play down the field on the last drive.
He split to the top of your screen. 4-receiver formation. Winslow down to the 42-yard line. Check that Caldwell. Got about 4 on the play. Washington State with 2 timeouts remaining.
Another one of those moments where Mike Leach has to remind his team as he's trying to implement his system, be what we are. Don't worry about the Ducks. Don't worry about the moment. These are the times where you got to focus on the plays and the fundamentals and the execution more than anything else. Don't get outside the moment.
Maloney in motion. Great broken tackle by Caldwell, and he's close to the first down. Got about 6 on the play, 3:25 to go. They're going to move the chains and give it to him.
And this is where the chess match is really played between Mike Leach and the Oregon defense. You want to load up the box and give us some chances outside, we'll throw it. You want to start playing some coverage because we've hit you in the mouth down the field? Well, then we're going to be content to run. Good patience here shown by the Cougars.
Good average by Caldwell so far. Averaging over 4 yards per carry. He's getting a breather. Halliday taking a shot up top. Into traffic and incomplete. Mitchell there to break it up along with Brian Jackson.
That's unfortunate because Mitchell, I think, makes that interception if Brian Jackson doesn't have the friendly fire.
Christoph Williams there. The intended receiver, ball at the 36. It'll be 2nd and 10. Good 3-step drop, complete. Goes right back to him. Couple yards short of the first down at the 28. Williams. Like I said, they got 2 timeouts remaining. Boy, what would it do for the Cougars to go into the locker room with the lead? That's something that not many people probably thought of going into this game outside of those Cougars.
I think you would see the trend continue on Twitter. Taking a little time and running a little clock.
On 3rd and short. Got rid of it quickly again for the first down. Good catch by Marquise Wilson. And they move the chains with a little over 2 minutes to go. And exuding confidence now. You see the smile etched across Wilson's face.
Well, the one nice element, those big wide splits that Washington State runs, and the shotgun on every play. Halliday getting it out, beating so much of that pressure and blitz, not getting hit tonight because he's getting the ball out of his hands.
Already thrown it 30 times tonight. Winston in the backfield beside him. Oregon State brings some heat, and they swallow Halliday back at the 26. Hart was the first one to get there. He was joined by Deion Jordan.
And Nick Aliotti sitting 2 booths down, and he saw exactly what I saw. This quarterback way too comfortable back there. Way too much ease, just throwing it all over the field. He heats it up, bringing in a big blitz, and Oregon finally gets home. One of the rare opportunities they got to Halliday.
Loss of 8 on the play.
Use some of this clock. I know you're up tempo, but don't give Oregon the ball back here. Maximize your clock opportunities.
Late blitz, and they get him again.
And that should be grounding. I don't think that ball gets back. He's going to call him down.
Michael Clay made the sack back at the 40-yard line, and man, this has taken them now out of field goal range. All the way back near the 40-yard line. Big play by Mike Clay, who's upset, not sure why, for the loss of 14.
Well, he's upset because these Cougars are hanging around.
First charge timeout. Please set the game clock to 1:03.
Let's go to Wendy in the studio.
Mark, thank you very much. Coming up at the half, we'll recap a record-setting day for Geno Smith. The Longhorns survive and advance, and there was offense everywhere on this shootout Saturday, including 95 points scored between the hedges. I'm joined by Todd McShay and Robert Smith coming up at the half.
All right, thanks a lot, Wendy. Hey, you were talking about Mike Leach and implementing his system with time winding down here in the first half. What part of it doesn't look like a Mike Leach run system right now with Washington State?
Well, this is a whole lot closer, what we're seeing tonight from an execution standpoint, than what you've seen through the first 4 games. And so much of it has not really been the issues offensively. They're still throwing for 313 yards a game, top 20 in the country, but it is the mentality. It is what he has been so frustrated about. Don't get too high, don't get too low. And when adversity hits, the last thing that you can do is get negative in that Basset Hound. Look, we've not seen that. They have responded tonight to some real adverse situations.
So what? There's some proud Basset Hounds out there tonight. The way the Cougars are playing. 3rd and 32. Halliday swallows it again. They sack him back at the 45. And in 3 plays, this Duck defense comes up huge, taking the Cougars out of field goal range.
And you've really got to sack them to take them out of field goal range. And that's disappointing because Andrew Fernie has kicked a 60-yarder already this season. If you're Halliday, you'd love to be aggressive, but find a way to get rid of it. Save yourself those 3 points.
Wake up. The future is upon us.
Under the lights at CenturyLink Field. A little bit of a surprise here tonight. Oregon leading by only 4 points. With time winding down here in the first half. Low snap. The Cougars punting. And a directional kick it away from Thomas. And it's going to be down at the 12-yard line. With 46 seconds to go. A 33-yard punt. Hey, 46 seconds. Plenty of time for Marcus Mariota. And that offense for Oregon.
You're also inside your own 15. Your defense just rose to the occasion. 3 sacks, knocking the Cougs out of field goal range. Yes, you like to be aggressive, but if you're the young quarterback with already an interception on the evening, you better be maximizing the ball security.
Redshirt freshman Mariota making his first start on the road in conference play here. See what he does with these 46 seconds. Takes off with it. And is brought down at the 20-yard line, a couple yards short.
And you saw today in college football, just unbelievably, West Virginia give up a big play to Baylor before the half. Deeper than the deepest at safety.
Mariota complete to the 25 for the first down. That was to Addison. 21 seconds to go. Oregon with 1 timeout remaining.
This is where some of your discipline comes in. Cougar defense struggled to finish against Colorado. You've got to have conversations as secondary members. Nothing gets behind you. Nothing.
Mariota completes it. Garner and wrapped up a textbook tackle by Simmons on the corner with 12 seconds to go. Well, this Washington State team coming off that game in which they melted down, lost a 17-point lead against Colorado in the last 7 minutes of the ball game. Seems like they're over any kind of potential hangover and not going to let Colorado beat them twice. And Oregon burns its final timeout with 12 seconds to go.
I think that's reflective of what you just mentioned. The fact that Chip Kelly saw on film mental errors and physical breakdowns that just should not happen. At 31-14, Colorado throws an empty, and Dayon Buchanan just doesn't see empty and gives up a 65-yard pass. They missed 2 tackles, give up an 85-yard run. Chip has seen that on film, that this defense, and even last week, was prone to the big play. That's why the timeout and one last shot.
Mariota pursued from the backside and brought down at the 21-yard line.
This group
Cooper
up front
was there first.
This group up front, they came to play tonight, Mark.
That has been the prevailing storyline of the first half of this game in Seattle. A surprise as Chip Kelly's Ducks lead by only 4 points at the break. It has been Nelta. It has been Xavier Cooper.
Timeout, Washington State. Please place 3 seconds on the game clock.
And the Cougars burn a timeout. We're going to wind this back a little bit, folks.
Take a look there at Halliday. Battered the final 3 plays that the Cougs had. 3 sacks. That's not the way you like to see your gunslinger limping around going into halftime.
Let me ask you to read the mind of a guy that loves reading about pirates and doing some unconventional things. Why the timeout this late?
The same reason that Oregon called timeout. You just never know. And you watched in college football today, didn't you?
Okay. Thomas. Anthony Thomas with a straight arm and out of bounds. And hold on a second, folks. There's a flag down at the 22. To go against Oregon, it looks like.
And they will decline.
Holding offense. Penalty decline. That is the end of the first half.
Last week against Arizona, the Ducks led only 13-0, but Mike Leach's team very much in the game. He's with Shelley.
Defensively, what are you doing?
Well, we started out frantic, and then we played after we settled down, we started playing pretty well.
How are you been able to stop their run?
Making routine plays.
All right, how do you capitalize that in the second half?
Keep doing it.
All right, thanks.
I tell you what, that's a real complex formula for success, but it's working right now. Our score at the half, 23-19 for the Ducks right now. Back to Wendy Nix in the studio for the halftime report. We're talking defense, believe it or not, Wendy. Monday night on a national stage, the NFL Seahawks worked a miracle and pulled a Hail Mary out of the fire. Thursday night, the Washington Huskies upsetting the apple cart with a stunning defeat of number 8 ranked Stanford. And tonight, the number 2 ranked Oregon Ducks finding themselves in a game they may not have expected, because Washington State has come to fight, and they may be just 30 minutes away from the upset of the year. The city of Seattle, the epicenter of football for the last several days, right now, main stage in college football. Here's why. Washington State trails Oregon, the number 2 team in the country, by just 4 points as we get started here in the third quarter of play. The Cougars played a very complete first half in different respects. They competed. They were not the timid. They were not the shy. And they were not the apprehensive team that Mike Leach called out just a couple of days ago in the media in the wake of the upset at home, the loss against Colorado. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones along with Brock Huard. Shelley Smith down in the field joining us in just a few moments on a day that was rife with big scores, offensive football, scores up in the 50s, 60s, 70s. We're talking defense. That's why Washington State is in it, right?
I think the biggest surprise of what Washington State has done up front, that defensive line in the run game has limited Oregon. No explosive run plays in the first 30. Now the challenge for the Cougs, do it for another 30 against a team built to play in the second half.
Mariota completing the pass out to the 29-yard line to DeAnthony Thomas. Remember, though, last week against Arizona, this Oregon team led 13-0 and then detonated in the second half on the way to a 49-0 shutout. 2nd and 5. Barner right near the first down, and Chip Kelly stopped by with our Shelly Smith. Shelly, what did he have to say?
He said quarterback Marcus Mariota, is this his first road game? He said he thought he was playing well. This kid is cool, calm, collected. He said in the locker room, he told him just keep playing, doing what you're doing, but we have to help him. We have to get the ball out of his hands quicker, and that's what they'll try to do in the second half.
All right, Shelly, it's first down after that run by Barner. He is weaving his way between the tackles out to the 40-yard line. What other ways can they help out a young quarterback making his first road start?
Exactly what you're seeing, getting positive yardage on early downs and finding easier completions. They did that early in the game, started to take more shots down the field as that first half went along.
There's Barner getting the edge, pushed out of bounds, and it looks like he may have gotten another first down. A big block on the edge by Jake Fisher.
Chip Kelly has said no team on film that they have studied plays them like they do with their tendencies. And what he means by that, Washington State is a group that has done everything, thrown the kitchen sink at everybody, and tonight a very different story. Base defense, very little blitzing, trying to play sound and keep everything in front of them.
Pass complete to Josh Huff. There's a flag thrown in the vicinity of the 40-yard line, and now another flag on the near side of the field at the 50, and another late one coming in. And they on Buchanan, who had an interception in the first half. They're making the stop on the play.
An extracurricular activity by Buchanan, something he has got to control in his nature, to be overly aggressive and at times frankly cheap, as he was suspended earlier this season for a brutal pass interference call.
There are fouls by both teams. Illegal crackback block, offense number 26. Face mask, defense number 20. Those penalties will offset. Replay, first down.
He talked about Buchanan. He was suspended for the first half of the UNLV game for Washington State because of an illegal hit in the Eastern Washington game. And he was the perpetrator defensively. There he is. Of course, he had that interception earlier in the first half. First and 10. Mariota completes it at midfield. Down to the 45-yard line. That's Murphy making the catch. Near another first down.
And those easy completions, why Chip wants the ball out of his hands, that establishes the tempo he wants to play with.
Here's Barner. Runs it into the boundary, nowhere to go. It'll be stopped up short. It'll be third down and 1. Travis Long, who leads the nation in sacks, coming in at 6.5. They're going to move the chains, actually, give him the first down. Oregon trying to keep that tempo up. Barner got about 4 or 5 on the play. Brought down by Cohen.
And those are the tackles that are so important. And another nice play by the sophomore. When you get your one-on-ones, you don't have to be vicious shots. You just got to get Barner and Thomas to the ground. They've done a nice job of that the first 33 minutes of this game.
Oregon led 20-3 with 1 minute to go in the first quarter. Then Washington State responding with a 16-3 run since. This is Thomas with nowhere to go. Might have gotten half a yard on the play. Sets up third and about 5.
I want to go back to the point I made earlier with Chip Kelly saying what we see on film and breaking down opponent we never get. One of the reasons they're a better second half team, he's got to get a feel for what Washington State wants to do, and the Cougars continue to be very base on defense.
Mariota completes it. Let's see where they spot it. They're going to give Thomas the first down on the reception. You know, the whole thing that you talked about, not seeing what you see on film, it didn't seem to affect them in some of the earlier games up to this point, because early in games they've gotten off to great starts.
Tennessee Tech, Arkansas State, Fresno State, you outclass those teams athletically. Different story with Arizona a week ago and tonight.
Mariota complete underneath, and a nice leap by Laerla. Laerla, who continues to display his versatility.
But Shelley spot on. These are now 3 passes. And the ball, easy decisions, simple reads, simplify the game. And what a tremendous athlete is Lyerla. Earl's a defender.
Mariota, great speed to elude the tackler. And that's going to be incomplete, out of bounds, intended for Braylon Addison. Second down and 10.
I think in some ways that's a reminder for Chip. As much as he loves this kid, he probably went into halftime and the coaching staff, Mark Helfrich, the offensive coordinator, get together that, hey, he can handle a lot, but let's just slow the game down. Let's remember this is still his first start on the road. Find him easier completions.
12th play of the drive. Little receiver screen and good open field tackling at the 20-yard line by Casey Locker on Addison. Sets up 3rd down. 7 to go.
Let's see if the Cougars continue to be very base defensively or if they try to heat the pocket up with a blitz.
Gets rid of it quickly. Mariota complete. And a 1st down at the 12-yard line. Went right back to Addison. He picks up 8.
The Cougs bring 1 extra defender. It creates that hot throw, that little quick slant. Mariota on the spot, seeing the blitz, getting to his open receiver.
Mariota completes it again. Boy, he's in a nice flow right now down to the 6-yard line.
But what are you seeing? If we had a clock and you looked at the throws in the first half, exactly to Shelley's point, he was holding the ball, shots down the field, very different. First reads, easy completions, get the ball out of your hands, slow that Wazoo defense down.
On the move this time, Mariota run out of bounds, put his hat down, and they're going to spot it just inside the 2-yard line, and he gets another 1st down. 1st and goal to go for the Ducks. He has been impeccable on this drive, 7 of 7.
Rhythm, tempo, poise. Huge to come out of the second half with a start like this. And demoralizing to a defense that played so well for the first 30 minutes. But the folks in Tucson, they witnessed this last week.
Garner beside him. Took the handoff. I'm not sure if he ever handed it off at all almost. Garner brought down at about the 7. Is that a mix-up at the junction, or what happened there exactly?
Once again, Washington State has a defender 4 yards deep in the backfield. He's trying to read and react. If you get that penetration, you can defeat that play before it gets started.
They spotted it at 3. Looked at the 4.
A little unique not to see their heavy package of Lyerla and Bennett they've often gone to this season. And he gets some more confidence for his redshirt freshman quarterback.
2nd and goal. Into the end zone, incomplete. 3rd and goal. Are they taking 2 shots at the end zone from here, do you think? Or?
A touchdown puts, or a field goal now puts you up 7.
We talked about Lyerla being their jumbo package guy. Is that a lack of personnel, or they're just going with a certain scheme?
I think he wants his quarterback on the road coming out after halftime. We made adjustments. You see it, you execute. He wants his redshirt freshman to finish this drive.
Garner in motion. Thomas with the handoff, and touchdown Ducks. DeAnthony Thomas.
Your prototypical 175-pound running back between the tackles, right? Everything tells you defensively they surely can't hand it off to Thomas between the tackles at 175 pounds now, can they? Oh, they do. They put Barner out in space, take the eyes of the defense away, and Thomas finishes.
Extra point good, and it's a 30-19 lead now for Oregon. On the 5th rushing touchdown of the season, the 12th of his career. The officials discussing something down in the field. There's a flag throw.
offside, defense. Penalty is declined. Try is good.
Chip.
Timeout on the field.
Chip Kelly trying to work the ref. Can I get those 5 yards on the kickoff? No. Just take the touchdown and be happy with it, would you, Chip?
Chip, you can't put those on layaway, buddy. Back with more after this. A quote-unquote home game for the Cougars, down 30-19 in this, the 90th edition of this series between these two teams. I'm Mark Jones along with Brock Hewitt, and Shelley Smith down to the field. An invariable, inexorable drive rhythmically down the field leads to a score for Oregon to open the third quarter play. They make a little bit of a statement offensively. On the return, this is Caldwell. And he's brought down at the 23-yard line. Well, that Oregon drive a little bit different and unique in the respect that it took a, quote, long time, unquote, for them. 6:21.
The longest of the season by plays and time of possession. It's exactly what Chip Kelly told us. The first comments in our chat with him this week: we are patient, committed to playing 60 minutes. And Mike Leach knows it too. They will not panic. They continue to execute.
Halliday completes the pass to his main man, Marquise Wilson. Gain of about 7 on the play.
And now the Cougars must do exactly what we just saw Oregon do. Play within. It's why Mike Leach really respects Chip Kelly. In his opinion, he's not in it for wearing the sweater, as Coach Leach said. He's in it to execute, to play their style of game. Washington State must match that patience level here and not panic.
2nd and 3. Halliday out of the pocket. Downfield. And almost intercepted in a late flag thrown. Mitchell there against Myers. Mitchell's been involved in a bunch of activity on the corner tonight.
The Oregon coach is wanting that call on Myers, feeling like he pushed and impeded the interception.
Pass interference, offense, number 88.
That's what they saw.
Exactly what they want.
Half the distance in the previous spot. Replay, 2nd down.
Boy, Mitchell actually had that ball hit him in the face mask.
I don't know about that. I don't think I see offensive pass interference. Usually it's got to be pretty egregious with a shove, something clearly.
You mean like the one on Monday night?
Now that was pass interference by Golden Tate,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Now Connor Halliday is testing Mitchell a whole lot more than he is Ekpreolumu on the other side.
Well, last night at dinner, you had the hometown colors on, I'm told by one of our spies. Didn't want to give it up. 2nd and 19. Wide open. It's Caldwell out of the backfield. And he gets out to about the, well, they're going to spot it at the 24.
What does Lou Holt say on nearly every halftime show? Coming into halftime and that first drive out of halftime are so critical to establish your mindset in the second half. Oregon marched right down the field, patient, methodical. Washington State has got to find a way. This crowd got into it. They felt it late in the second quarter. They've got to find a way to convert a third and extra long situation.
We go on 3rd and 7. Halliday gets rid of it, picked off, and it could go for 6. Patterson ducks, touchdown. But there's a flag down at the 32.
Ineligible receiver downfield, number 66 of the offense. Penalty is declined. Touchdown.
Avery Patterson had nothing but open real estate after he picked it off. And Oregon hangs 13 quick points on the board here in the third quarter. The first half that looked so promising for Washington State. Down by just 4. Now they find themselves down 37-19. An 18-point deficit in a blink, but that is the combustibility, the ability of this team, Oregon, to detonate in a blink, whether it be on offense or on defense, as displayed here by Avery Patterson, looking like another 21 that played the corner.
Show your loyalty to your school at HyundaiShowYourLoyalty.com.
There we go.
Oh, the Oregon dunk got good hands too, although he doesn't have the receiver's gloves like the Cougar mascot.
And I promise you, that suit had to be dry cleaned. That fish is slimy.
But does Duck have as many uniform changes as the team in uniforms? That's the question. 7:20 to go in the third. The Ducks have turned to beat around on Washington State here in the second half. Caldwell on the return, and a flag thrown all the way to the 20-yard line.
That'll put it at about the 10-yard line. Going to be a half the distance, I do believe, when the flag flies that far.
You have to wonder about the psyche of this Washington State team, giving up so many points quickly.
Illegal block in the back, number 44, the return team. Penalty will be enforced with the final foul. First down.
Yeah, speaking of the psyche of that Washington State team, Shelley, what is Mike Leach saying to his players?
He just spoke to Connor Halliday, who completely looked frustrated and bewildered as he came off the field, but Leach was very calm and measured with him. He was patient. He has said he likes this kid's fire and his moxie and his swagger, but he also knows that he has to keep him calm and poised.
Play that next play. You can't let that third down pick six interfere with the next 22 minutes.
See how he responds on this drive. Completes this pass to Bartoloni. Gain of about 4 on the play. Patterson, who had the pick 6 on the last pass, made the stop.
The mental toughness comes in many varieties on a football team. For a defense, their willingness to continue to hit and to fly around. For the quarterback position, when you throw a bad pass and you're late, and it's a pick 6 the other way, you have got to erase that from your memory banks, move on, and continue to be aggressive.
2nd and 7. Halliday, that hung up there a long time, out of bounds and incomplete. Hey folks, get your NFL Sunday started off right. It's already Sunday on the East Coast. 1st to 10 Eastern on ESPN, Sunday NFL Countdown. Chris Berman and the gang giving you updates. Then at 11 on ESPN2, Robert Flores and his crew with Fantasy Football Now. Tell you what, we can grab a Starbucks because there's enough of them around here, and get ready for that in a few hours right after this one. 3rd down and 7.
How about a double move here? Oregon sat right on the sticks last time on that out cut on the pick 6. Maybe a time you can protect it to be aggressive.
One defensive lineman with a hand down. Halliday throws it up, and it is incomplete at the 37 for Gabe Marks. And it's 3 and out.
You see the wind picking up just a little bit, and that was exactly the call. And you'd sure love to see Marks go up there, the true freshman, with 2 hands, because that was a well thrown ball. That was a wheel route, not necessarily the out and up. Good touch, good ball. The true freshman's got to find a way to make that play, and he knows it. His danger zone.
Coming from his own 3-yard line, Bowling. A line drive, Thomas. Dangerous. It was Snoop that nicknamed him the Black Mamba. Of course, that might belong to another prominent athlete as well, but that's an argument for another day. Built for the World Fair, I'm told by my partner. Back to college football finale as part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. And right now, I'll tell you what, Oregon Ducks offense is on the right track, no matter what the train is. Hung up 13 quick points here. in the second half. Look at 14. Mariota. Varner makes the catch, and they're going to say he's out of bounds. It's been 18 consecutive games now that Oregon has scored 30 or more points. Last week in that shutout, they didn't hit 50, which actually had them below their average in that shutout victory against Arizona. On 2nd and 10, Mariota keeps it and wisely falls at the 31-yard line, right near that first down marker. Looks like they're going to give it to him.
And there you see some of the burst, some of his capability within the run game.
Fires it. Delivers a strike down to the 24.
And this is where Oregon really gets teams defensively in a bind, where they got Arizona a week ago, who played good, played a lot of base defense, and all of a sudden they find themselves behind and they change that plan. They start to blitz, and that's where Oregon typically can hit their home runs.
Varner into the boundary. Almost ran over the defender at the 17-yard line, picking up another first down. And man, they are putting the wood on each other. Listen up. Talked about his durability. Certainly able to absorb the blow there, actually deliver it. Mariota hesitated, and incomplete for Thomas out the back of the end zone.
You can't hesitate with world-class speed, and he knows that. He'll look at that on film tomorrow. You just got to pull that trigger a little bit earlier, because once DeAnthony gets separation, he just covers too much ground.
Sets up a 2nd down and 10. One of his few misses here in the second half. He's been nearly flawless. Little receiver screen into traffic, and well read defensively by Washington State. Nowhere for Thomas to go. So it'll be 3rd down and long for the Ducks.
If you're going to get this fan base back in the game, if you're going to give your team a little bit of hope, you must find a way to hold the Ducks to a field goal here. You have to if you're Washington State. They continue to be patient defensively. They've not overloaded. They've not blitzed. They've stuck with their game plan. They have been patient throughout this second half, but you have to find a stop here.
6 of 10 on 3rd downs. Mariota fires high, and it's 4th down coming up, and a flag thrown late. At the 10-yard line, Hawkins was the intended receiver on the play. Here's the call.
Personal foul. Defense, number 15. Unnecessary contact above the head. Penalty will be half the distance to the goal and an automatic first down.
Tyree Toomer.
Debilitating. That's a redshirt senior. The play is over. You've held him to a field goal, and he comes in and decides to just whack the receiver on the back of the head. Right, wrong, indifferent, questionable. Can't have it. You can't even put that within the judgment of that official.
1st and goal for Oregon now. Varner turns it north and finds the end zone.
You want to epitomize the Achilles heel of the Cougars a week ago, the inability to finish, careless mistakes, the frustration that Mike Leach is feeling right now with his team that puts himself, and his eyes say it all, as he's counting up those numbers in his head right now. Should have been a field goal. And instead, you don't handle adversity well. You come out the next play, you don't tackle in space, and Oregon's starting to run away with it.
2nd rushing touchdown of the night for Varner, who continues to climb the all-time rushing list on the Oregon charts. 18 rushes tonight for a total of 92 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and a flag thrown.
False start. Offense, number 93. 5-yard penalty. Remains try for point.
Well, Varner doing a nice job this year replacing LaMichael James, who's now in the NFL, and Barner and James actually worked out a lot in Los Angeles during the offseason as James was getting ready for the NFL. It seems like in waiting for Michael James to move on to the next level, Barner certainly learned his lessons and studied well. Right now, the evidence on the scoreboard, partner.
And right now, Washington State gets penetration, as Nauta does and has all game long, but unfortunately he doesn't have the linebackers in that fast flow that we saw earlier. And Barner's a north to south guy. That's the one thing. Training aside and all the iron he and LaMichael may have pumped together, it's getting up, getting those shoulders square and getting downhill.
Man, those are some nice uniforms, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, coverage of Monday Night Football continues on ESPN. First at 6:30, it's Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. At 8:30, Chicago Bears visiting Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys. Monday Night Football, Bears Cowboys, Monday, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN.
What do you think Mike Leach would do with Jay Cutler's body language?
I don't think it would work for him.
That would work. Those conversations. He loved the gunslinging nature of Jay Cutler and Tony Romo, both of those guys. Just lightning rods in a way.
Well, I thought you were talking about maybe the Jay Cutler that got on his teammates a little bit recently.
That's not what you're looking for.
That's different. 44-19. A few short moments ago.
This game's still trending on Twitter.
Yeah. A few short moments ago, we were talking about potentially the upset of the year in college football when it was just a 4-point game. That seems like centuries ago now.
And what have you seen? You saw an 18-play drive where Oregon came out and executed and showed the patience, the longest drive of the season. Then you see a pick 6 on a 3rd and 7, capitalizing on a mistake. And then you see just a terrible personal foul penalty that allows the Oregon Ducks another chance, another crack at it, and they finish. You better be willing to play rounds 8 through 15. You better. That's why they're number 2 in America. They're not number 2 because of their first 30 minutes.
You're going to fight with the heavyweights. First down and 10 for Wazoo. Behind is his intended receiver, Bartoloni. Dion Jordan there to make a play. Good pressure up front.
They're number 2 because they play to get this game to the second half, where they hope their tempo wears you down, where they hope that Dion Jordan's get an opportunity to get ahead and tee off on you, where they hope they looked at their game plan at halftime and said, okay, this is what Wazoo's doing to us. Different than they've done to anybody else the first 4 weeks. Let's adjust. Let's find our quarterback completions. Let's execute and play our game. And let's run away from them as they have so many opponents over the last 4 years under Chip Kelly.
2nd and 10, they bring some heat. Halliday throws behind his receiver, incomplete. Gabe marks that intended receiver, and it's 3rd and 10.
You see a little bit of the frustration there. One of the first times from a body language, and Connor Halliday saying, hey, I'm not perfect. It's not on your chest, but Gabe Marks and Isaiah Myers and even Marquise Wilson, I need you to make a play against this team and these aggressive corners. And the rush that I'm facing, the 6 sacks, I need you to help me out if the throw's not perfect.
Talked about the expectations earlier for Washington State under the new head coach, Mike Leach. Well into conference play now, and a big catch. And a first down and then some by their marquee player, Marquise Wilson. And he's still amped up.
And he's got to be a difference maker for him. Tom McShay had him as a late first-round pick going into the season because of his production, because of the fact he's 6'4" and 185 pounds, and he needs to show up early and often. And that was helping your buddy out. A scramble drill, he comes across the field and breathes just a little bit of hope and life into this crowd.
First down and 10. A 27-yard pickup. This is Winston, and Winston brought down after a gain of about 1. Interesting day, partner. In the Pac-10, there's a pivotal game going on between Oregon State and Arizona. And, of course, in the wake of that surprise loss by Stanford here a couple nights ago against Washington, what's your take on things?
A lot of parity this year. And I think it showed out of conference as the Pac-12 handled their business much better than they have in previous years. Oklahoma State, Nebraska, some big wins up and down the conference.
Oregon State just went ahead of Arizona by 3 late in that game. Incomplete. Well, what about the coaching job by Mike Riley this year? When you look around the league, he's got to stand out, along with Chip Kelly, is one of the guys doing an outstanding job.
Everything that we've talked about with Chip tonight and what Mike Leach wants to do and implement here of we do what we do. We don't worry about all the outside factors. We don't worry about what the other team does. And Mike Riley, in the face of 2 very difficult seasons and 3 wins, didn't change. All the change was he took over a little bit more of the play calling duties. Same system, got people back. Got younger, got faster, got stronger, and have had a very good start to the season.
3rd and 9, some heat coming on Halliday. And he finds his hot receiver. Wilson again for the first down.
That's your receiver helping you out, making you look good. A vicinity pass. It wasn't spot on. These were the plays they sure would have loved to have made earlier down in that red zone. They could have caught a couple of those touchdowns earlier instead of settling for field goals. But Wilson showing you the body control of a big man that is unique.
And Marquise Wilson has become the all-time career leading receiver at Washington State. 5 tonight for 75 yards. Wide open over the middle to Simone. And another Cougar first down to the 13. Oregon running players onto the field. Getting some fresh personnel out there. Well, because you talked about it during our meeting, because their offense scores so quickly and so frequently, that defense is going to have a lot of different people on the field for a while. Approaching 2 minutes to go in the 3rd. Washington State has been shut out in this quarter so far. Bartoloni in motion to the top of your screen.
Be checking run here with the 2 deep Oregon safeties.
Here's Winston. And the guys up front, Brock, get the job done. Stopping him at the 12-yard line. Emuli with the tackle.
2010, when Oregon made it all the way to the BCS title game against Auburn, they played 26 guys consistently defensively. You saw that massive line change. They're playing about 20 this year. If Chip and Nick Aliaudi can find a few more bodies in the secondary, that's the numbers they want to get to, north of 24 players defensively, because they're on the field a whole lot.
On 2nd and 8. Halliday incomplete. It'll be 3rd down and long. Let's get back to that point you talked about a minute ago, about 24 players, different players on defense. Put that in perspective for me. Normally, how many would you see in a quote-unquote conventional defensive system?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, Oregon's going to play 8 defensive linemen, 6 linebackers, and 6 in the secondary. That's where their numbers aren't where they were in 2010. They would play 8 or 9 guys on the back end, but that's rare. You don't see many teams doing that. If you can rotate some of your D linemen, if the average is probably closer to 16, that just shows you where they were in 2010 with upwards of 25 or 26.
Halliday had a man and overshoots him in the end zone. Simone was there and open. And it sets up a 4th down.
I think open's a little bit of an understatement. That looked like Geno Smith in West Virginia today. Simone just finds the back of the zone. Those safeties way overcommitted to Marquise Wilson. And that is a gigantic miss.
4th down. And this is a litmus test of sorts for Mike Leach and how he judges the character of his team moving forward in the face of this deficit. How are they going to define themselves? Halliday couldn't get rid of it and sacked. The Ducks take over on downs from their own 18. DeForest Buckner with the sack, and that's the 7th of the night for Oregon's defense.
And by the way, if anybody around the country and their coaches say, hey, we're young, Oregon's young. DeForest Buckner is a true freshman defensive tackle. True freshman wide receivers, a redshirt freshman quarterback. They continue to recruit well. They continue to get even faster and more athletic, and the true freshman getting the first sack of his Oregon career.
First down, coming back the other way. Thomas. Boy, good blocking once again on the edges by those receivers. And Thomas has about 8 yards on first down. Under a minute to go here in the 3rd quarter. Oregon with a 44-19 lead. They have shut out Washington State in the third quarter. It was 23-19 at the break.
You kind of get the sense it may be DeAnthony time.
Motioning out of the backfield, they hand it off to Barner. A yawning hole up the middle, and he scoots through it out near midfield at the 48-yard line, and another first down for the Ducks, a gain of 22.
You know what you didn't see in the first half? Gaps and holes like that for Kenyon to run through.
We haven't said Nelta's name much here in the second half. There he is in pursuit of Mariota. But his teammate makes the stop on the quarterback back at the 40-yard line. That was number 13, Darryl Monroe, the 6'1", 208-pound freshman.
Throw it away. Still, you love Mariota's competitiveness, and Chip does. But you got to find a way still as a young kid. These are teachable moments. You see the look on the face, and I promise you, relax, throw it away. Let's finish this game strong in Seattle.
Number 2 Oregon outscoring Washington State 21-0 in the third quarter, leading 44-19 going into the fourth period. And Oregon number 2 this week, leapfrogging LSU last week in the polls. People in the SEC wondering why. What do you think they're thinking tonight after this performance so far by Oregon?
Well, if they watch the first half, they're thinking there's no way in the world Oregon could be the second best team in college football. If they pay attention to the way the Ducks play, and they played for 4 years under Chip, and why he's going to be now 39-6, it's because they play 4 quarters.
Mariota, the redshirt freshman quarterback, going the distance so far. Making some plays with his legs tonight. Gets down safely at about the 48-yard line. Picked up 8 on the play.
It's conditioning. It's adjustments. It's knowing as a program and really building for 4 years within this program a fearlessness. Never panic. Don't worry. We just keep doing our thing and we will wear people down.
Third and 11. Mariota throws into traffic, and it's picked off at the 30, pardon me, the 43. Buchanan with his second pick of the night.
And we've seen Mariota when he struggles tonight, both on missing some opportunities and interceptions. When has it been? When he's late. As Chip Kelly said to Shelley Smith coming out of halftime, we want to get the ball out of his hands. Young quarterbacks will hold that ball just an extra second, and what does Buchanan do a very nice job of? Seeing his eyes in zone coverage and coming underneath it. This is the maturation of a young quarterback, and much easier to do when you still find ways to win and win convincingly.
Now they completes that pass into Oregon territory, the 48, Marquise Wilson. An 8-yard gain. It seems to be Marquise almost exclusively lately for Washington State. I guess why not if it's working? And we get folks, the college football final follows us. Presented by AT&T. That's coming up next. Wrapping up the entire day of college football. Second down and 2. Halliday dragged down from behind, but enough to get the first down at the 45-yard line. Lacombo making the tackle for Oregon. First down and 10 for Washington State.
Let's watch these final 13 minutes. Let's watch body language. Let's watch finish. Let's watch, back to the theme of the beginning of this game, what Mike Leach wants to see out of his kids, and that is competing and finishing even in adverse situations.
First and 10, Halliday off the play fake. Boy, eluding trouble. And down the middle of the field, Wilson again, a first down at the 21-yard line. A 24-yard pickup.
And instead of kicking yourself for missing the wide open touchdown on the last drive and looking at the scoreboard and thinking what could have been, You got to erase it, and you got to move forward. You got to think we've got 13 minutes and 3 timeouts and plenty of time. Just continue to do what Oregon does so well, and that's execute your game plan.
And Wilson has gone to over 100 yards receiving. It's the 13th of his career. That pass incomplete. Intended for number 82, Bobby Ratliff.
Remember, it was the Cougs up 17 on Colorado. Colorado left for dead a week ago. You're down 25. You put 7 on the board here. Still 12 minutes to play. That's a conversation you got to have on the sidelines. You're a no-huddle team, but as a quarterback, that's what you have to be thinking. Who's that next play? Thinking ahead. That's what Mike Leach is doing as he looks down at his play sheet.
Can't waste any time. Halliday throws it up, and it's going to be caught at the 10, but a flag down in the area as well. Simone, boy, that was like a fly ball. He sprinted underneath it, and Halliday coming up limping.
He has taken a beating. 7 sacks. The pocket nowhere near as clean as it was in the first half.
Offense, number 88. 15-yard penalty for the previous.
That's against
spot.
Isaiah Myers.
Replay, second down.
And that ball had so much loft. It was like a punt. I think Myers was trying to block for the returner. Oh, but once again, that flag comes, and I understand why that flag comes. Because what are those referees trained to look at? Well, he has his hands extended on the DB. I don't think I've seen that much loft on a ball, and kind of a questionable call. Maybe by the letter of the law, the penalty.
2nd and 25. And off to Winston. And Winston down to the 33-yard line. Little activity on the edge there. We talked about Washington State. Previous regime, when leaving, said that they could win 8 games this year. What do you think realistically, though, is a win total for Washington State?
Well, the goal now has to be to get to 6 in this conference that we talked about with so much parity, where Oregon State's better, where Washington upsets Stanford, where you obviously have Oregon's ahead of the class in the North Division. I think that has got to be the realistic goal. Can you find a way to get to 6? And if you'd had that Colorado game, it's going to be a false start with the right tackle, and that's what hurts so much. That's why defensive coordinator Mike Bresky said it was so hard for the staff.
False start. Offense, number 69. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
Yeah, that Colorado one would have put him at 3-1. Let's take one more look at Halliday and maybe some frustration now.
In a very different second half, and I go back to the demeanor when he thought it was 7-on-7, when it's 23-16 and a chance, or 23-19 a chance to get it closer to a point before half, and he took 3 straight sacks. To me, that's many ways where this game turned.
Given plenty of time, well, not enough really. And he got drilled back at the 47 by Dion Jordan.
He's outside the tackle box. I don't think that ball gets back to the line of scrimmage. That's the conversation.
Just think he got rocked.
I guess
not sure that was grounding.
As the impact of that contact affected the throw.
Halliday has thrown it 47 times already.
Go back to that point where it was 23-19 before half. A minute to go. You're inside the 20 field goal range. A chance to get it to 1 point before half, and he was feeling so good. And what was it? Sack, 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 punt. And then Oregon's come out in the second half and just thoroughly dominated.
Punt to the end zone, no return. It'll come back out to the 20-yard line. A little bit of the air coming out of Century Field here under the lights in Seattle. Look at this, folks. We spare no resources here at ESPN. That was our first ever salmon cam exhibition.
Cannot tell if that is a Chinook or a coho cam because I can't see the gums or not. But that is really cool.
Wow. You've been watching a lot of those Fishing the Northwest shows.
Huh? I've been trying to catch those salmon.
Such a renaissance outdoorsman. Oregon with the ball from its own 20. Varner on the loose, breaks a couple of tackles. Still running loose. Goodbye. Touchdown Oregon. 80 yards.
Comparison to a boxer earlier. It's as if this Oregon team almost likes to get to the later rounds. It's almost as if they want to test you.
That's when it really starts,
yeah,
right?
Do you have the mettle to stick with us? Because those were the plays that were made in the first half, and what a phenomenal block outside. Like Colt Lyerla, not had a lot of touches. He's not quitting. He cuts his guy. I promise you he'll have a plus on his grade sheet tomorrow. Sets up that 80-plus yard run, and this Oregon team loves to play in the fourth quarter.
Tell you what a night for Varner. 20 rushes, 195 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he wants to be a gunner on the kickoff team too. You watch.
Year and Vizio. Welcome to the PC Reimagined.
A lovely panoramic view of Seattle aglow at night. Oregon leading 51-19. They've blown this one wide open with their signature explosive plays, Brock Huard. And another one a few moments ago. We talked about Varner and his selfless play. He likes to be one of the gunners along with DeAnthony Thomas, and this is last year's Rose Bowl game. Look at the two of them on punt coverage.
That's the final 2 minutes of the game, and it was Kenyon and DeAnthony telling Chip, going to Chip and saying, hey, you put us out there. We want to go out there. We want to do the little things. And when your most talented players are committed to doing the littlest of details, committed to special teams, that's what Chip said. I said, what is DeAnthony's favorite play? How many touches do you want to get in a game? He said, nonsense. We don't talk about any of that. His favorite play is exactly what you saw, where he gets to show off that world-class speed as a gunner.
We didn't believe it until we looked up the video and found it. This is Caldwell out to the 20-yard line. I like what Chip Kelly called. He called it the trickle-up effect.
That's exactly right. Because I said, well, I'm sure when your best players do that, it trickles down to everybody. He said, quite the contrary. We think it's trickle-up, that everybody does it. It's the blocking by the receivers. It's the special teams. It's a commitment to practice and the condition. And you know why it's easy to buy in and do that? You've got 3 straight rings on your fingers. You're 39-6 in 4 years. Success breeds success.
Oregon with some great recruiting classes in the last several years. Here's a receiver screen. Marquise Wilson picks up about 7. Yeah, Oregon into California, getting great players out of there, like talked about Thomas, got him out of Crenshaw High and Texas, all parts of the country, and not to mention those flashy uniform combinations, which if you have a teenager, you know how much kids are drawn to that kind of stuff. 2nd down and 4. 1st down catch made by Simone.
And to that point, your 2 freshman receivers from Hawaii and Cincinnati, Ohio, your tight end, freshman from Ohio, your right tackle, a super sophomore from Michigan. That net is cast wide, not just because of the Nike and the uniforms. That is a part of it, but that's come with success. That's come with Rose Bowls. That's come with being right on the cusp of a national championship in 2010. It's really come with building right now the preeminent program on the West Coast. And the folks down at USC might not like that, but when you've won the conference for 3 consecutive years, you have those bragging rights.
That pass complete out to the 41-yard line. Bartoloni again. Picked up about 4 on the play. That USC loss really revealed a couple of things, and you know, many things. The spurious and sometimes counterfeit nature of preseason rankings. 2nd down and 7. But Oregon's number 2 ranking, its highest ranking this early in the season. Downfield and open, caught by Simone. Down to the 25-yard line and a first down.
And these receivers aren't quitting. You see the kid out of Skyline High School won a bunch of state championships here, a local kid. And you see some of that fire. He was overthrown on the touchdown pass. You've seen it from Wilson as well. I know Shelley's observing that down on the sidelines. You're not seeing that hangdog look that Mike Leach saw at BYU that he saw a week ago when the team couldn't finish against Colorado. These kids are still fighting.
1st and 10. Brooks with his first carry stopped up at about the 23. Shelley, what's up down there?
Well, actually, that last play energized this sideline. As you mentioned, Leach has been riding them pretty hard the last couple of weeks, saying they're not mentally tough, they're fragile. I don't sense any of that here tonight. They're up on their feet, they're talking to each other, they're invested in what their coach says. I don't sense any quit in this team.
He's singled out a couple of players that he really enjoys for their courage. His quarterback, one of them. Holiday into the end zone, and that one broken up. And Leach, one of the more colorful coaches and quotable coaches, he compared his quarterback to Stonewall Jackson and Travis Long, the defensive end, to Ulysses Grant, saying he's going to bombard people until they bust. You got to have the history books ready when you speak to this guy.
Well, and to Shelley's point, you know what you're not seeing right now? Cam Newton towel over your head. You do see people engage. I don't see any defensive players pounding on the other end of the field. They are all up and still very much engaged and invested in this game.
3rd and 7. Down the middle of the field. Incomplete. Broken up at about the 5-yard line. 4th down coming up now.
And you could see exactly what Connor Halliday is saying and some of his frustration and that fire, which is okay to have. You just have to make sure it's not negative. You can have that fire and that competitive will and want to, and your receivers like that. He puts the ball on the money. But you also got to understand when you miss, and you miss Simone by 10 yards and overthrow him, you better be careful.
To keep the drive alive on 4th and 7. Halliday into traffic and incomplete. And Oregon will take over on downs, intended for Isaiah Myers.
That is exactly that conversation right there. Keep firing. Doesn't mean anything tonight on this scoreboard, but it's going to mean something over the long term, and most importantly for the rest of this very long season the Cougs still have in front of them.
ESPN.
Folks, don't miss College Game Day next Saturday from Columbia, South Carolina. Chris and the gang will be there getting you ready for all the day's action leading up to the Georgia-South Carolina game. College Game Day built by the Home Depot at 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPNU, and then at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. South Carolina had a tough going early against Kentucky. New quarterback in the ball game, Brian Bennett. Bennett in for Marcus Mariota. Lyerla on the carry. Brought down after a gain of a few as we take a look at the top 5 teams all in action tonight with varying degrees of well, being impressive, I guess you could say.
But quite a few close games. West Virginia's a 7-point game. Florida State was just a 13-point game.
So what about Georgia? Had a tough time. Their defense didn't really come to play the way we thought they might after seeing them last week.
And that is with the addition of both Ogletree and Bakari Rambo coming back.
2nd down and 6. Lyerla with nowhere to go on the handoff from Bennett. So they escaped getting a turnover from Tennessee late in the game in Georgia territory. Florida State winning at South Florida.
I think many people probably looked at Alabama and thought that that'd be a whole bunch more than 16. LSU against Towson. You tell me the conference they're in, that's a 16-point game. Georgia's a 7-point game. Stanford obviously loses. More closer games today.
What about West Virginia? 70-63 against Baylor. You score 70 points and you only win by 7. Lyerla up the middle, showing off his power running game. Close to the 1st down and a late whistle. Some contact after the play.
Is Chip going to go for it on 4th and 1? 4th and 2 at his own 31. I think he is. I think he'd love nothing more than to try to find a way to just run out these final 6 minutes. Or maybe he'll think about it.
We got a timeout called by the Oregon Ducks.
Oregon.
Looking to improve to 5-0 in the season and 2-0 in conference play.
Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
Folks, now let's take a look at our FaceTime profile brought to you by Edward Jones, and it's Logan Mays, defensive end for Cougars, hometown Eugene, Oregon, playing for the other side tonight. And if you recognize the surname, his father Ruben was an All-American at Washington State, a running back. Had some very productive years in the NFL with the Saints as well.
He sure did. In fact, the first one, a pretty good one, as he was NFL Rookie of the Year back in '86.
4th down and 2, and Chip Kelly going to punt. Nice punt all the way back at the 28-yard line. And Oregon leading 51-19, a punt of 41, nothing on the return. Hey folks, get your NFL Sunday started off right. First at 10 Eastern on ESPN, it's Sunday NFL Countdown as Chris Byrne and the gang provide all the latest news up to kickoff. Then at 11 on ESPN2, Robert Flores and his gang, Matthew Berry and Tim Hasselbeck give you the information you need for fantasy football now. Halliday got rid of it just in time to Brooks. And Brooks pushed out of bounds at about the 32. Got about 5, but there's a flag down on the play.
See pretty clearly this is going to be hands to the face, I believe, against Oregon. And I wouldn't expect Mike Leach to stop throwing the ball, by the way.
Personal foul, defense, number 44, hands to the face. 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the play. First down.
Against Buckner.
Mike Leach handles the quarterback position as their coach as well. Continue to walk through, and they've thrown it over 50 times. He'd love to get to 65 or 70 tonight. As he said to us, it's really a discovery process more than anything, as he learns what makes these guys tick and all the different moments he's going to find them in.
Halliday complete. Out to Bartolone, and another first down. Getting back to that discovery process. If I'm a Cougar fan back in Pullman, that sounds nice and everything, but how long am I supposed to let this discovery process, quote unquote, continue for?
Well, it was a 5-year deal at $2 million per, and a splashy move this offseason in the right move. Let me be very clear about that. And it wasn't going to happen overnight. It simply wasn't in this conference.
First and 10, Halliday complete on the quick slant.
Now, having said that, there was immense frustration after last week. At 31-14, that was a game against the Colorado team that had lost to Fresno the week before, 69-14. Had come to Pullman, your homecoming, you're up 31-14, and that inability to finish, that was terribly frustrating. A night like tonight, knowing you're up against it with one of the best teams in all of college football, that's a different story.
You can understand this one. Halliday incomplete at the 15-yard line. On Temps, the intended receiver. You got to be careful. You had pointed out you can't turn off your teammates with too much expression and emoting on some of the negative plays.
Well, there have just been so many of those this evening, half a dozen or more, easily. Of some passes that you felt you put there for guys to finish the catch and the reception, and they haven't.
He's going to have to ice his arm after this game, Brock. He's chucked it 59 times. Let's make it 60 here if he's able to get it off, which he does. Complete at the 26-yard line. And he took a shot back at the 40. And Jeff Toole, the backup, is coming off a knee injury. Oof. Yeah, he got popped pretty good.
And he is a slight guy. They list him at 6'4" and 189 pounds, and we've seen that a few times as he's been limping around tonight. I think that's some of the frustration as well, as I'm taking a beating back here. I'm throwing it 60 times, trying to put you guys in the position to finish the deal. Yeah. Mike Leach is wondering why he's called off the field.
I didn't see his helmet come off.
No, I think because of the injury, he may want to burn it, or he may not want to. Well, he's going to go with Toole instead of burning the timeout and getting Holiday in there for the 3rd and 10.
Yeah, Toole started the first 2 games of the season for Washington State. Out with a knee injury after that.
These are the ones that take your breath away a little bit as your body slams to the turf. Your lungs say thank you very much.
3rd down and 10. Toole with his first snap of the night. And his first toss. Caught. Touchdown. And his first touchdown of the night. Marquise Wilson. Boy, that's a great relief pitcher right there.
Well, let me throw it up into double coverage. And Holiday saying, where was that? Toole comes in and really forces that on 3rd and extra long, with a safety bearing down on Wilson, and trusts his receiver to go up and actually finish the catch, which he does, and even more so with the touchdown.
The extra point good. And that's the 3rd touchdown pass of the season for Toole.
Well, Mike Leach said about Connor Holiday, he's willing to pull the trigger. To me, that's a little indictment on Toole. Wasn't. And he throws a knuckler into double coverage.
Oh, Wilson just went and got that.
He sure did. That is one on the decision grade that's probably a minus. On the throw was kind of a knuckler. But you're all Pac-12 receiver with 1,388 yards a season ago. And now the Cougars all-time leading receiver as far as yardage goes in the history of the program, that's seen some prolific throwers and catchers.
Washington State makes it 51-26, and Wilson, those 11 catches today tie a career high for him. 163 yards in total in that touchdown. Do you do the onside kick here? I mean, they tried one earlier.
And this is where you mentioned the rule's a little different. You just can't hit it into the ground and pop it up. They're now able to call the fair catch. Ball has got to hit the ground twice. That's why you saw earlier the grounder. Will he try to rocket shot it off of one of the Oregon players, or can he get it to bounce twice before the Cougs get downfield?
They pooch it. They're going to chase it. Not sure why Thomas didn't let it roll into the end zone. Maybe he thought it wouldn't make it. But they're going to be pinned at the 5-yard line as a result.
I'm not really sure why Thomas is back there up 25.
This one's over.
Either. He loves special teams. Chip was very honest about that. But up 25, probably time to not see any more contact for Kenyon, DeAnthony, or any of the guys you're going to need here as this schedule gets a whole lot tougher for Oregon. Been very sweet the first half of this season. 4 at home. An easy trip, as you said, up by 5. The Huskies come to town next weekend, and then it's going to be November and December. But it gets a whole lot tougher for Oregon going on the road.
Well, what about Oregon State defeating Arizona in Tucson, 41-38?
Oregon
scored
State
late to take the lead in that game and win it. And the 2 Oregon teams in the Pac-12 making a lot of noise. One was a little bit unexpected.
And Oregon State picked, as far as the media in the conference goes, to be last in the Pac-12 North. Exactly where Mike Riley at times likes his program to be thought of anyhow, and been very different. 3 wins a season ago have already matched that total. Off to a tremendous start.
2nd and 7. This is Bassett, Kenny Bassett. Let's take a look at the standings in the Pac-12. Oregon State on top at 2-0. Arizona State at 2-0. We saw them earlier this year against Illinois.
And really, Oregon State, with the way they played, would be 4-0, but that early game that got moved with Nichols State because of the hurricane in Louisiana. And very impressive as far as their resume goes within the conference and what they have done. At UCLA, at Arizona, Wisconsin at home.
Bassett again on the run.
And I think a real credit when you look at both Oregon, and it's part of the conversation here tonight, as we've mentioned many times, Mike Leach trying to build his program, instill his psyche. Mike Riley is entrenched. He's going to be in Corvallis a long time. I believe 2019 contractually with a year added every time he goes to a bowl game. He's not going anywhere. And his system hasn't changed. He didn't panic over the last 2 years in adverse situations. Much like Chip Kelly's program is established here, Mike Bellotti built so much of it, and Chip has continued to add to that foundation.
This is Ford on the run, his first carry of the ball game. Gets a couple of yards, post coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Heading to the Monster Mile at Dover, where points leader Jimmy Johnson is right at home on one of his favorite tracks as the chase for the Cup continues. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover, presented by GoDaddy.com, Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Well, you know, if Oregon State, sounds like you said they might be the surprise so far in the year of the conference. What about the disappointment? Is it USC?
I think you probably put Cal, don't you?
Really?
Okay. As established, everything that I just said about Oregon and Oregon State building their program, Jeff Tedford is the longest tenured and been at Cal a long time. And the expectations much higher for the Golden Bears as they fall at home today to Todd Graham and Arizona State. Another pleasant surprise within the conference. But the USC loss, yes, you could put that right at the top of the list as a single loss is the most disappointing for the Trojans. But I think in totality, what's going on right now, and that seed getting hot with a new stadium down at Cal and a senior quarterback and senior playmakers. They've been close.
At 3rd and 8. And well, there's one of the guys that continues to have his motor revving at 100 RPMs. Nelta with another big play. He was a big force in the trenches for the Cougars in the first half. And under a minute to go now. They force an Oregon punt. Oregon on the brink of improving to 5-0 on the season. Back with more on the other side. Things got a little fishy down at the Pike Market, and that Oregon Duck mascot, he thought he checked out a little bit earlier. Maybe tired from all the push-ups that he's been doing after the scoring plays. A great couple of days here in Seattle. Home game for Washington State. Punt's going to be down right around the 45-yard line. Washington State with 2 timeouts remaining.
Right here.
And back to the action. Another completion and another pass to Marquise Wilson, who tonight became the all-time leading receiver at Washington State.
Jeff Toole in the game to finish this one out. Don't be surprised if Mike Leach doesn't take those 2 timeouts home with him to Pullman.
Pass complete to Bartoloni. About 3 yards shy of the first down. Washington State going to fall to 2 up and 3 down in the season. And 0-2 in conference play as Oregon improves to 5-0 overall and 2-0 in the Pac-12. On 2nd and 2 in this game that we thought would produce so many offensive pyrotechnics and fireworks. Most of them coming from Oregon. 51-26 winners.
You better be willing and ready to play 4 quarters against Oregon.
Especially those last 2, the 3rd and 4th. 51-26 the final. Coming up, college football final. That's next. Once again, our final score.